And we are live. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Canadian Guy here, and today we are back with a very different stream. This is a kind of stream that I actually haven't done in a very, very long time. People who are longtime members of the channel may recognize this kind of stream, but some of you may not. Today we are doing what I like to call a work stream. Now, of course, as you know, I make videos for full time and as a living, and I run this channel as my full-time job. And sometimes a lot of people like to get a behind-the-scenes sneak peek as to how everything is made and the thought process and why decisions are made and why a video is done and all the process in between. And so I did a lot more of these back in the day. Hey, everybody that's tuning in. I did a lot more of these back in the day. But now I kind of got caught up with doing a whole bunch of other stuff, but I kind of want to rein it back in a little bit because I do have a bit of announcement. And that announcement is that I am currently looking, that doesn't mean that it's happening right now, but I am currently thinking about creating a course on creating a YouTube channel, but more specifically a gaming YouTube channel. And I've always wanted to show people how somebody in such a niche area like Spyro the Dragon or Crash Bandicoot can go full-time or at least make a decent living while on live. So I was wanting to do that, but I kind of want to get like some feelers out to kind of figure out, like, do people want this? Do people want to know about this? Do people want to purchase a course? Do they want to watch a channel? So this is kind of an idea, sort of a start of a seedling of an idea to sort out what's going to be happening. So I am open to as many questions as possible if you like. I will try my best to answer them, but I'm also going to be working and I'm going to be talking through everything that I am doing. I'm not going to be sitting here quietly and saying nothing. I'm going to be talking the whole time, trying to answer as many questions as I can, but I'm also going to be working. So there's a balance here. So let us dive right in. So the first question, of course, everybody is going to ask, and something that everybody wants to know, is how do you come up with video ideas? Where does it draw from? Where does it come from? How do you conjure an idea and turn it into an actual substantial video? And one really good place to start, if you are an established channel, is literally your own channel analytics. Now, I'm showing you my live analytics. I'm showing literally everything. Everything's exposed. But to give you an idea, each one of these stats that you see is the amount of views, watch time, subscribers, and revenue in the past 28 days. So in the past 28 days of this channel being live, in terms of YouTube. So you can kind of get an idea as to where everything goes, and you can kind of get an idea of what's cool. But what's interesting, if you don't know, is that you can see here that there is a bunch of data that I can draw from because I have, of course, a channel that is established in many things. Broken 3D printer, eh? Thank you so much for the $1. Yes, the broken 3D printer, it's still going. We tried something new, and it's about to get to the breaking point. So, it's about to get to the breaking point. So, we'll see. We'll see if it will not die. That's the question. So, by the way, if you guys don't know, I will be streaming tomorrow for 12 hours straight. We're going to be raising funds for PAX. So whatever income is made today goes towards my rent and my personal and the bills. But the stream tomorrow is strictly going to be for funding for my PAX East trip, which always is awesome to get from you guys. So let us dive in. One of the best things about having an established channel is that if you are low on ideas, you can actually go to your data and to your comments and kind of get an idea as to an idea for a video. And recently I posted a video which is actually doing fairly okay. It's middle of the road, but I want to point something out. I think I figured out what the new Spyro will be. The idea behind this video was exploring the design process and shadow stepping and stepping through the ideas and interests that Toys for Bob did to how they got to their end result with Crash Bandicoot 4. And then I thought, okay, can I do the same thing? And I thought it was an interesting video. I thought it was pretty cool. The one thing I want to highlight is the amount of subscribers this video got is actually unusual. It is actually, for last year's stream when you got like you got 4K in 2 hours? Yeah, I do remember that. That was amazing, and I can only pray for more blessings like that for tomorrow. But what's interesting about this is that this has earned 54 subscribers for 11,000 views. Now, the question I say is, okay, why is that interesting? Well, if we go over to the Crash Team Rumble is Over video, it has almost 15,000 views, but it netted me 23 subscribers. Now, that's interesting because that means that this video that has been up for a less amount of time and has less shall I say, less views, it has 54,000. It gave me 54 subscribers, almost around double the amount that of something else that has more views. So then I can take a look more and see, okay, this has got 68 views, but this is similar to the previous video, and it has comparatively to 25,000 views. And we can go through and we can kind of start breaking down and getting an idea as to what would be a good video to delve into. Now, I want to go back to this video, and what I want to do is, if I don't have a video idea that is pressing, like this needs to be made right now, and I'm kind of just getting a feel of like, okay, what video do I want to do? And like I said, for this stream, we're starting at step 1. Is there a stat for net subscribers per view? Unfortunately, no. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go to the comment section. Now, the comment section is actually really interesting because what I've learned is, even with the bad comments, even comments that are not great, you can still get an idea whether they're good or they're bad, whether they're positive, negative, neutral. You can still, or a combination of all of those, you can still extract data for a video idea if you're seeing something that's repeating over and over and over again, which then allows you to be like, okay, there's something here. So we know this video is netting a bunch of subscribers, so we know it's getting a lot of engagement, so that means we should start looking at the comments and see if there's any reoccurring comments. If they capture the trilogy tone, gameplay, and world, and elevate it, Spyro 4 will be huge. Yep, if they ever make a Spyro 4 sequel, have it called Enter the Dragon, a parody of the Bruce Lee movie. As much as I wish for a remake or continuation of the Legend of Spyro trilogy, I'm very excited to see where Spyro may take Spyro next. So I do a quick kind of look. Open world Spyro, let's go. It would be, instead of a Spyro successor, if there was a new Spyro game developed by Toys for Bob, chances are that it is canceled and possibly being worked by something else. Okay. So this is an interesting comment, okay? This is an interesting comment. And the reason why this is an interesting comment is because it's working out of the assumption that because of what happened recently at Toys for Bob, that it's now going to be a spiritual successor, and it's not going, and that there's no new Spyro game in development. Okay, so that's something to keep note of. Let's go to the next one. Spyro 4 has to probably come out this year because Spyro 3's Platinum Trophy was named, probably like it's 2024, which, you know, that's a fun little term. My opinion, Spyro 4 plus 2 other games, either sequels. Okay, I hope the next Spyro game is an amazing open world game. So that's 2 notes about them talking about Spyro open world. Would like to see a legendary Spyro beat 'em up with elements. Cool and all I care about is whether or not Stuart Copeland is returning for Spyro 4. I mean, all right. Okay, here's another one. The game doesn't even exist and probably won't. So, okay, we got another thing of Spyro 4 doesn't exist. And, okay. It must be a continuous grift with new Spyro stuff, is that there must always be a carrot to chase to induce clicks. Again, once again, it is this very negative outlook towards Spyro, but we can actually collect data based off of Born to be Slicker's not so slick comment. Harper Onions, if Crash 4 is any indication, just because they're releasing a sequel to the original trilogy doesn't mean they aren't aware of or won't reference other Spyro titles that released the following original trilogy. That's a great point. Someone who's 45 plus. Waiting for there. Okay. We want Spyro. I think now that they went indie, it's time to give up for a while on Spyro 4, unfortunately. Again, so we're starting to see a repeat here once again of Spyro 4 does not exist because, and the reasoning and the rationale seems to be because Toys for Bob went indie. I hope that's not a reboot or a remake. They want a sequel. Okay. I would love to see a remake of Reimagining of the Dragonfly. I think a sequel would be better. Okay. In terms of Spyro 4, I think Toys for Bob is out of the picture. Okay. Again, another idea. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I love your passion about Spyro. Thank you. Talking about TOS again. So what I'm seeing is yeah, I'm unfortunately not convinced there's even going to be a fourth game. Here we go. I think here is a really, 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 like, kind of like the definitive, like, I think this is going to be the video, who this video is going to be for. So one of the things that I can also do, this is one of many techniques that you can do, is you can make a video dedicated to not necessarily a specific fan, but a fan that makes a statement that seems to encapsulate the opinions of other fans as well clearly. And this comment is pretty definitive. I'm unfortunately not convinced there's even going to be a fourth game, especially considering Toys for Bob is indie now. Okay, so once again, we are seeing a video idea emerge here. And what's the video idea? It's exploring the opinion of Spyro 4 and Toys for Bob, and will it work? And the point thing is that they are saying specifically it's not going to happen because Toys for Bob is indie. It's not going to happen because Toys for Bob is indie. Okay. So now the question is so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy this text and I'm going to paste this into a document right at the top. It's white text, so we can clearly see that. The white on white, it's totally great. There we go. So what I'm doing here is I am essentially putting this at the top of my document as I go to try to figure out what pieces of information that I'm going to use to either agree or disagree with this comment. So let us take a let's see where we can go with this. So right away, my initial knee-jerk reaction is I disagree with this. But again, that is a knee-jerk reaction. And let's start with the first thing that we know. Before we even go searching for information, let's type about what we know. So we know that TFB is now indie, which means they don't have access to the IPs anymore. Right? Okay, so that is a pretty strong and almost, case closed, sealed argument. Toys for Bob is now indie, which means they don't have access to the IPs anymore. So what other arguments do we have to say that Spyro 4 isn't in development? What other arguments do we have? What other arguments do we have other than Toys for Bob is gone indie? Right? We can make the argument that it didn't sell well enough. We just got the stat that it sold 10 million copies, and under any circumstance, that's amazing. So we can even, so we'll, bring that down a little bit here. We'll put that down, kind of like a positive over here. But in terms of negative, I want to ask you guys, and want you guys to hop in. Besides Toys for Bob going indie, is there any other argument beyond that Spyro 4 is not happening? Microsoft owns the IPs that Activision have. That doesn't, but that, okay, yes, you're correct. But that doesn't quite add on to the fact that Toys for Bob doesn't have access to the IPs anymore. Nonetheless, whoever owns it, whether it's Activision or Blizzard or Toys for Bob or whatever, what point is there? So they own Spyro. Yep, exactly. So there's not much else, right? There's not much in terms of other arguments in terms of against this, right? There's not much other than, well, now Toys for Bob is indie. Crash 4 didn't sell as well as compared to the remake, so that might be a huge red flag for them. Okay, we could mention that. But, so, okay, we'll mention it. Fly. I got a fly in here. Get away, fly. Okay, so the rationale is Crash 4 didn't initially sell as well as expected. So, might be deterrent. Right? Yeah, you are absolutely correct, Obsolete Mule, but that would be more for it, right? Better keep a good relationship with Xbox. They want to continue. Yep. Right. So again, the question becomes that. So the question becomes, what are the points against it, right? So critical thinking, and at the moment, these are really the only 2 points, and even the second point is a little bit weak because I already have an argument in my head that completely bounces that off because it's something that we do have numbers for, right? So, okay. So, let's go. What is the counter argument? What is the counter argument? Well, clearly it means that there are people that don't understand what these are. Third-party studios. Now, what is a third-party studio? How does that work? Okay. How it works is that, and if people don't know that, how a third party works, have they established a partnership yet? No. Hey, thank you. I've been a major fan for you a few years now. Never said hi until this message. Just wanted to say thank you for all the awesome videos. Much love from Toronto. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for all the love. Printer still working? I think it is. Gotta keep an eye on that. Okay. So, third-party studios, what are they? Right? Third-party studios. Well, a third-party studio is a studio that takes an IP that is owned by another company via a contracted partnership and produces a game. Right? So, we got to explain what that is. Secondly, and I want to show you guys something that is actually kind of funny, is Toys for Bob is cryptic in more ways than we know. I made a tweet yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. That was yesterday or the day before. And here is something that's very interesting that I laughed about it when I saw it. I laughed my head off. So if we want to rewind all the way back to, what was it? Was it if we rewind all the way back to Crash Bandicoot's 25th anniversary, where we were expecting them to announce Wumpa League and they didn't announce Wumpa League, right? And we're all upset. What we didn't know is by that time it was no longer called Wumpa League, it was called Crash Team Rumble. One of the things that they released during that time was this photo. And at the time, we didn't see anything of it. We didn't think anything of it. We didn't know anything of it because it just said Crash running across the saying Rumble, Rumble, Rumble. And we didn't know that, again, it was called Crash Team Rumble. And this is one of many cryptic hints that Toys for Bob loves to sprinkle and put into all their announcements, their posts, all their things. They are constantly doing stuff like this, right? So in this explanation, I can explain that Toys for Bob is cryptic. Okay, well, what are they cryptic with? Well, as you guys know, so as you guys know, which we've brought this point up again, we labored it, that again, Toys for Bob's going indie. So, and we're going to take a lot from this because we know that this is going to be a really the big crutch to this argument. The argument of, I'm not convinced that there's going to be a fourth game, especially considering Toys for Bob is indie now. Okay, that is the main argument that has repeated over and over again. Now, that doesn't mean that people are stupid. It doesn't mean that they're dumb. It doesn't mean that they're being overly negative. It doesn't mean that if you are seeing something repeated over and over again, it typically means that there are people that are thinking this way, and they don't know the other pieces of information as of yet. And that means that this might be a good time to be able to inform and back up the opinion that we have. So, again, which we've read through this over and over again, but there's something that I want to point out. So again, with the cryptic tweets, our friends at Activision and Microsoft have been extremely supportive of our new direction, and we're confident that we will continue to work closely together as part of our future. So, keep your horns on and your eyes out for more news. Thank you to our community and players who are always supporting us through our journey. We can't wait to share our updates and our new adventures as an indie studio. Now, that is a very direct, pretty, like, hey, bang, hold your horns. But let's make this more, let's lock this argument in even more. Let's roll up here. Over the years, we've inspired love, joy, and laughter for the inner child in all gamers. We pioneered IP and hardware technologies in Skylanders. We raised the bar in best-in-class remasters in Spyro Reignited Trilogy. We've taken Crash Bandicoot to innovative, critically acclaimed heights. So, at the start, they are referring to old projects that they have worked on. They are clearly referencing Spyro, they're clearly referencing Skylanders, and they're clearly referencing Crash Bandicoot. But as we get down to the bottom here, they say, so keep your horns on and your eyes out for more news. Here's the thing, and think about this for a second. If they wanted to keep this generalized, if they wanted to just keep it, hey, let's just keep it Toys for Bob broad, they would have said, keep your horns on, watch your Wumpas, and keep your eyes out for more news. If they said that, then that is a broad general statement to be like, okay, keep your horns on and hold on to your Wumpas because those are the two games they're most known for. Okay, so they did a shout out to both of the games that they're most popular for, and that's cool. But they didn't. They only specified and referred to one project, which was Spyro, and it's in reference to their next move and their next project. So keep your horns on and your eyes out for more news. Thank you so much, Elena, for the $5 from Grandma for the 3D printer. Thank you. Oh, please don't die on me again. Hold on. I'm seeing something might be going wrong. Uh-oh. Oh, no. If that's the only error, I can fix that. If that's the only error. I don't know though. Oh no. Starting to fail. The print is starting to fail. What I'm trying to make over here, I'm trying to make a piece for a friend of mine. You may know her, Katie. She's going, her and Lozzie are coming to PAX, and I am trying to make a timepiece for them. They're cosplaying as two characters from A Hat in Time, and I'm trying to 3D print just like one of the collectibles, and it's I have a new printer pointed out, but I can't afford it right now. It's $800. I can't afford a new printer right now. But anyway, back to the stream. So I will cry about that later. I'll cry about that probably in about 5-10 minutes when it goes really, really bad. So another point that I want to point out is something that's actually interesting. Another point that a lot of people seem to be missing. With the same enthusiasm and passion, we believe, here it is here. Here is this point here is really exciting. It actually makes 2 points. So, to make this news even more exciting, we're exploring a possible partnership between our new studio and Microsoft. So a lot of people are saying, okay, so we might get Spyro, we might not. We're not sure. But the following statement says something interesting as well. And while we're in the thank you, Elena, for the $10. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the support. More for the printer. Thank you. And while we're in the early days of developing our next game, now this is important. Toys for Bob went indie, and they are already developing a new title. And we don't know where the cash infusion came from for them going indie. Now, where's the cash infusion? Where did it go? Who gave it to them? And how can they already be the first day that they announce, hey, we're going indie? And in fact, we know that they weren't fully indie yet because they were still doing the final tweaks on Crash Team Rumble. They're still doing the final tweaks on Crash Team Rumble. They're already saying that they're already in development for their next title. So there's something that is one of these things is not like the other. What would typically happen for indies is that they declare they're going indie, and then they're going to be having a Kickstarter right away. They're going to be having a Kickstarter. They're going to be giving ideas. They're going to be funding it. They're going to be building it, and they're going to be announcing it. And then if it works, then they go into development. They're already in development here. They're already in development. They still are. They jump past that Kickstarter. They jump past all of that, and the project has already started. So, in my opinion, the project that they have started is a project that is still in early development, but it is in relation to this partnership between the new studio and Microsoft. in my opinion. I believe that it is indicative that this project that they are talking about already right away is actually them looking for a partnership with Microsoft, because you can start development of a project and then still not be partnered as of the date of this article being dropped. That is correct, Obsolete Mule. We have a timestamp as to a general idea as to... Thank you so much, Owen Moore, for the 1011 through Streamlabs. All ones, no zeros. The printer will need it. Definitely. Definitely. It's going to need a bunch of yes, 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 yes. All the ones. Oh, please don't die on me. Please keep going. Please don't fail. You've already failed me enough today. Thank you so much. Also, yes, if you want to donate and help with the stream and the channel, there's a description link in the description below. Thank you so much for everyone's love and support. So I believe that is indicative that the project that they are mentioning right here, that they're already in development, is already a project that is in partnership between Microsoft and Toys for Bob. And like Obsolete Mule said, that we already have a timestamp of them testing something in Unreal Engine 5. They were testing something. They were maybe pitching something or trying something or showing something off and exploring something. So we have a timestamp as to when that development went. The development started before they went indie. And they're saying that they already have the project in development, which means the project that they had in development before the indie is still in development now. Does that make sense? So here we need to go with so we go back to the script and we say explain partnership and point out game already being in development. Where funding? Where funding? Where was the funding? In my opinion, I believe that to get official partnership before they announce anything concrete. That is a really good point too. That is a really good point too, where it's like, okay, make it official. So, let's continue. So, now for this partnership, has this ever happened in the past? Right? Has this ever happened in the past? Has there been a classic IP owned by Xbox that then was worked on by a company that was indie and not under Xbox? Has this happened in the past? And the answer is yes. And what was that game? Why, ladies and gentlemen, this was who developed Battletoads, the remake by Dlala Studios. Dlala Studios is, so then we say, okay, Dlala Studios. Was that made by Rare? Is that Rare? No, that's not Rare. Okay, so now we go to Dlala Studios. What is Dlala Studios? Let's see here. Dlala is a studio making games. Why do we have a giant thing for cookies? Welcome to an independent games studio. Bingo. Right there. Yes, Tyler Brennan, this is going to be a real video. Right there. An independent game studio. So we already have precedent of this happening in the past because Battletoads was made by Rare, right? So if Battletoads was made by Rare originally, and Battletoads is an old IP, it is old, right? It's been made for literally almost everything ever, back in the day, and was especially popular way back when. An indie studio came forward and developed the game and it is exclusive to Xbox. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have our precedent where it is, okay, an example of this happening in the past. So this isn't a theoretical, well, this is possible. No, this is not a this is possible. This has happened. This has happened in the past of Battletoads. So, now we have an understanding that Battletoads is the precedent. Toys for Bob is cryptic, which we can shown in many different ways. We tie into, which is tying into Hold Your Horns. Oh, and there's one more thing to add here too. Another thing to add even here. Our friends at Activision and Microsoft have been extremely supportive of our new direction, and we're confident that we will continue to work closely together as part of our future. It is literally stating here in the post that even if you want to sit up here and say, oh yeah, we're exploring a possible partnership between our new studio and Microsoft, the following is, we're confident that we will continue to work closely together as a part of our future. It's right there. They're saying that they are, Toys for Bob in their mind is saying, yeah, we're confident we're going to be working closely together. Not just working together, closely together. And the reason why that they are saying Activision as well is because Activision was the original studio that owned the rights to Crash and Spyro, so they would be, you know, tied to it. And so because of that, we're going to be working together. So even if this statement up here seems a little wishy-washy to some people, I feel like that this statement is kind of like the punch out cha-ching. So we can explain here. But then we can say we are confident. Okay. If they weren't confident about it, they wouldn't mention it. Exactly. You're exactly right. So now we have kind of this quick little information. So what we have up here is we have the mission statement. Do we agree with this? The answer is no, we don't. Because the current evidence suggests otherwise, right? Now, we can even reference, if we wanted to. Actually, we don't even need to. We don't even need to reference all the old videos where they showed that. We can literally show. There's different ways that we can show this too. There's different ways that we can show this. We can show that, you know, again, Microsoft wants studios to be able to work on what they want. But the problem is that we're kind of going off a little bit on a tangent because now Toys for Bob is indie. So what we can then do is, now what we can do is that we can either make this just, here's the information, or we can add a loose theory. What could have happened? Okay. We can do a loose theory by tying all of these things together. We can. Do we want to for this video? The question is, now we have the idea of where the direction this video is going to be. This video is going to be, okay, people are not convinced that Spyro 4 is happening. What is the mission statement of this video? The mission statement of this video is that Toys for Bob can very much still be developing a new Spyro title, and here is the evidence. Now we can give out, here's what happened. But there is also a inverse effect on this too. There's an inverse effect as well, that if all this is correct, then something else is correct. And what that is that if Spyro is still possible to be worked on, then Crash is in the same vein. So just in doing that, we just converted an entire video dedicated almost 95% to Spyro, and we just, with that statement alone, just turned this into a 60-40 video. That, because if we can prove that Toys for Bob can be still developing Spyro, that includes Crash Bandicoot as well. Because Crash and Spyro, being of the same area in terms of IP location, it now means that we can also brand this with Crash content as well. So now we got the general idea as to what we want the video to be like, right? We are going to be talking about the fact of, okay, we're going to be bringing up the argument that Spyro's now indie, or Toys for Bob's now indie. Does that mean can they still develop? Now we also have this question here, and this can be debunked with the fact that the sales showed that yes, while copies of Crash 4 were less than Insane, it made more revenue than Insane, right? So the question is that do we include this argument, right? Do we include this argument if we can just kind of debunk it really quickly, right? Is this an argument that needs to be brought up and then debunked? And the answer, in my opinion, is it's not something that a lot of people are thinking. In my opinion, I don't think a lot of people are thinking, well, Crash 4 didn't do great, so or didn't sell as well as Insane because it was double the price. So that might tie to Spyro 4. I don't think so. In my opinion. So I think that we can actually drop that argument. So this even solidifies our point even further. So now we have the idea. Now we're going to move on to something called packaging. Now, what do I mean by packaging? It's how we're going to package the video. Now, back in the day, how I used to do it is I used to think, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write the script for the video. After I write a semi-coherent script, I'm going to go through it, chop the things that don't make sense, add details that need to, get it all looking nice, get it all looking good, and then figure out the packaging for it. Okay, so how am I going to title this? What's the thumbnail? What's the direction, etc., etc. Now, I do something different. Now, I figure out the packaging before I start scripting the video or even recording. I sit down and I think to myself, okay, how can this be packaged? Because now I have the general gist of the direction that I want to take the video. I have the raw resources here. So, how do I want to tackle it? Do I want to tackle it? So then I start figuring out potential titles. So, what can this title be? It could be, can Toys for Bob still work on Crash and Spyro? Right? Okay, I'll bite. What are you 3D printing? I am 3D printing a hourglass, at least one piece of it, from A Hat in Time, the collectible that Hat Kid goes for. So I am 3D printing. It's still alive, right? Okay. I am 3D printing the collectible that Hat Kid and Mustache Girl get. So I'm doing that because PAX is going to be in about 2-ish weeks. and maybe even less than that, or around there. Anyway, PAX is going to be in about 2 weeks, and Katie asked me if I could try. I've been working with Grumpy, the 3D printer, now for a while, and I am not happy with Grumpy, the 3D printer, but it's the only printer that I got. I have a new printer I have lined up that I want so badly, and I cannot wait to fire this thing out the door. You have no idea. You have no idea. I cannot wait for the moment where I can just pick up that 3D printer and just go yeet. Maybe one day if I get it on stream, I will throw the 3D printer on stream and be yeet if I get the money for it. Anyway, let's continue. Can Toys for Bob still work on Crash and Spyro? So that's a pretty good title. We can go a little bit spicier, a little bit more leaning into it. By the way, thank you so much for the 20 Danish Krones, Yoshi Poyo. I appreciate that. We can lean a little bit more into it and add an assumption there. Just a little bit. Toys for Bob is still making Spyro 4. Here's how. So thank you, Yoshi Poyo, for the 50 Danish Krones. Just for that, you get more money. Oh, thank you. I love Hat in Time. Also happy to see you in a better mood. Lots of love. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Yoshi Poyo. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You are amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the support and donations. And yes, maybe if we hit a certain goal, I will literally do a video of me destroying the 3D printer. If we hit a certain goal, sure, I will literally like figure out a way to make it so that I could destroy it if we hit a goal. Live in the world where we magically dream up videos and do them. I do. I do magically dream up of videos, but they you know, there is a mechanical process behind the scenes and how I get to where I'm going. So, all right, Toys for Bob is still making Spyro 4. Here's how. I know Akira Toriyama has passed away. I am trying not to cry about it. I loved Akira Toriyama. I love Dragon Ball Z. It's one of my favorite franchises of all time. It's a core franchise for me. I've been a very, very sad lad since I heard that Akira Toriyama passed away. So, yes. I understand. Budokai, so, alright, let's see. Is it still hold on, let me check on Grumpy. Hold on. Grumpy, are you still printing? Begrudgingly, it is. It's still going. But trust me, if it fails on stream, the mood's gonna change. Okay. So, now we're kind of just figuring out titles, and once we figure out the title, then we can figure out the thumbnail, and once we get the title and the thumbnail, then we can script. So how can we can go how Toys for Bob is still making Spyro 4. Grumpy, the little 3D printer that could dent. You forgot the dent. The little 3D printer that could dent. So we're trying to figure out the title of can Toys for Bob still work on Crash and Spyro? Toys for Bob is still making Spyro 4. Here's how. How Toys for Bob is still making Spyro 4. We're trying to figure out the wording behind this and trying to figure out we're trying to figure out a way to title this. Toys for Bob can't make new Spyro, or can they? Right, so there's different ways of figuring out how to get to the end result and what feels closest to what I want to do. And where I'm, so the two that I'm leaning towards are these two, but I want to workshop this first one. I feel like this bottom one is kind of hit its plateau of possibility. Toys for Bob is still making Spyro 4. Here's how, here's why. Still making a new Spyro. Here's how. What the general gist of this title is basically at its limit. This one is the idea is there, but how do we enhance it, right? How do we make this better? How do we make this more attractive? How do we make this more intuitive? How do we get people to look at this and be like, you know what? I kind of want to, and it implies this argument up here where unfortunately I'm not convinced there's even going to be a fourth game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to take this, and I'm going to go kind of like copy C, copy V, copy V. So now I can kind of take this and kind of like reword it a little bit. Can indie Toys for Bob work on Crash and Spyro? Will Toys for Bob continue Crash and Spyro? Can Toys for Bob continue? Happy that I can make it to a stream like this to see some CG behind the scenes and making videos. I appreciate that. I'm happy that you're here. Can Toys for Bob continue Crash and Spyro? So we're just trying to figure out where the wording can be. Will Toys for Bob continue working on Crash and Spyro? Can Toys for Bob make Spyro 4 as an indie studio? Okay, Mystic I think is getting it close there. Can Toys for Bob make Spyro 4 as an indie? I like that. Okay, we're getting there. I like that. I like that. Can Toys for Bob make Spyro 4 as an in? So we can go 1, 2, 3. Can Toys for Bob make Spyro 4 as an indie? I feel like this is pretty close. Or it is. I feel like right here, this title here. Because what I like is the important information is front loaded, right? So if you get a notification and it just says, can Toys for Bob make Spyro 4? If you just get that, you already kind of have an idea as what's going on. Can TFB Spro? Easy, yeah. I think but the sentence still says, can Toys for Bob. We could go between these two. So we can go between these two. But the message on both of these are the same. It's just semantics now, right? It's just tweaking and getting it, but the message, the general message of this title, this packaging, is the same. So I think that we are, in my opinion, I feel like one of these two is kind of the title. Can an indie Toys for Bob make Spyro 4? Hey! King, CG, are you not using AI to help with video ideas? Not right now. No, I don't use AI much. I find a lot of the AI ideas are very, very, very generalized. They are very, very just broad. I've tried it in the past to see if it can generate some decent ideas. And I think out of like 50 ideas I've ever generated, I think there was one that was like, hey, that's actually not bad. So no, I'm not. And I'm not against, using AI to kind of produce ideas or try to get the ball rolling. But there is a very specific problem, that a very specific hole that was found that people are pointing out, and this video is supposed to be a fix to that. So okay, this is good. So we now know basically our title. So now that we know that our title, we now need to figure out our thumbnail. So now we're going to boot up Photoshop. And we are going to jump in and start to kind of plot and figure out what we want to do for the thumbnail. So what is the message that we want to get across? We want to get across that this video is focused on Spyro 4, so we're going to be using Spyro themes. We want to use Toys for Bob, and we want to try to express that they're an independent studio. So what can we do? What should we do? How should we approach it? So the question now is, how do we get this message across just by visually looking at the thumbnail as much as possible? So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull up some images here. Let me see here. I'm going to try to not show you guys a lot of my gallery, because just in case there is some sensitive information floating around in there that, someone might try to cop a look at. But I'll have it on my separate screen here, and I'll show you guys also what I'm looking at. You for now? Okay. So are we missing something? I feel like we're missing something. Are we missing something? Hold on. Add the text first. No, not yet. Yoshi Poyo donated 20 Danish crowns to Super Chat. Thank you so much. Where is Bob and where is his toys? For the longest time, I genuinely thought that Toys for Bob was literally in reference to Bobby Kotick because he was the CEO. I thought that's what it was for the longest time. I thought it was Toys for Bob, and it was like, yeah, for Bobby Kotick, because he's, you know, he was the CEO. But apparently it wasn't. But we still are not aware as to what Toys for Bob, who Bob is, for now. For now. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to here. I'm going to look at some assets that I have, some image assets, to kind of get an idea as to what I want to do. Now, Travis, the Dragon, who is a supporter of the channel and is just an overall great guy, gave us some renders in the past. He posed some custom renders that were really cool for Spyro, and we definitely use them in videos. You may have seen a number of these poses. So we have a number of different moods. We have confused, which actually might work, actually, confused, this confused emotion may just be exactly what we're looking for. Now you can see he's kind of pointing to the side. So what we could do is that we could be having Spyro kind of be like, all right, why, you know, is this happening? Should it happen? So let's do this. So what we're going to do is that we're going to pose and figure out our main, what's called an actor, our main actor, which of course is going to be Spyro. Now, always when it comes to, in my opinion, when it comes to having your prominent star for YouTube, have your actor always on the left side. The right side is where your time code goes. And if your important information is covering time code, then it's blocking each other. It doesn't look good. So we don't want to do that. So, okay, so now we have Spyro, and he's even pointing. So what we can do with that is that we can literally point towards Toys for Bob, right? And we can, I got two flies in here that are just bothering me because I got the two key lights on and they're just like, fly around. It's not fun. Let me go to Twitter real quick and let me go to Toys for Bob's, Toys for Bab. Toys for Bobbert. For Bobby. Bobby. All right, and we'll go with paste. There we go. So, but we want to make sure that people understand that one of the things that we also want to make sure is they understand that we're focusing on the fact that Toys for Bob is now indie as well. So what I'm thinking, in my opinion, is that we do something kind of like this. We kind of make an ellipsis like that. Then we do this, do that. Make sure that looks kind of decent. That looks pretty good to me. So now we have it as a circle. Now, one of the things I'm keeping track of right now is the amount of colors that I'm using and what colors I'm using. Spyro's finger is kind of not quite pointing right. So what I can do is I can actually kind of just adjust Spyro just a little bit. And you can't quite tell that he's angled. We can increase size a little bit. And now we're starting to see a little bit. So we'll go with something like that. There we go. So again, we are getting to a point of where we got kind of like the idea of flies. Two. Twin. So now we're getting to a point where we're figuring out what's happening, what's going on with the thumbnail, and the gist of where we're going with it. So now what I want to emphasize is the fact that Toys for Bob is now indie, right? Toys for Bob is now an indie studio. So now that they're indie, is there a way that I can get that across with this video? And what I'm thinking, and the first thing that pops in my mind, is having almost like a bottom scroll right here that says Toys for Bob and it says indie. Right? That's a possibility. We also could leave it as is. I'm trying to think. So here's what we'll do. We'll keep working because we'll workshop that. What I'm also going to do is I'm also going to add something that is kind of like to really stress the fact of like, what? That does not look like a good question mark. That is a bad looking question mark. What font looked at this and said, yeah, just take the G, flip it and add a dot? Like, what in the world? Who thought that was a good question mark? Let's go find a better looking one. That's not bad. Yes, I am being grossly offended by a question mark. Come at me. Can just make everybody mad and go with Comic Sans. That's a pretty just like genuine, just like legitimate, like, you know, just a legitimate like question mark here. And it's literally just emphasizing that Spyro is confused. Is this possible? Okay, so we now have a confused Spyro looking at a Toys for Bob logo with a question mark. So we kind of have the idea of this thumbnail kind of place. Right? Right, I feel like that, like, this is a pretty decent placement, like, idea of the thumbnail. So now that we kind of have an idea, it's Spyro questioning Toys for Bob. It's Spyro pointing at question Bob with Toys for Bob, question for Bob. It's Spyro pointing at the Toys for Bob logo with a question mark, confused, like, is this possible? Is this even possible? Is this a thing? Etc. Now, I'm looking and I am seeing a lot of purple and a bit of yellow. Now, purple and yellow are complementary colors. So if we have a lot of purple, that means I want to find a background that has a decent amount of yellow to it. So then what I do is I then go to Google and I go Spyro Reignited levels, level design, either level design or whatever. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for something that has a bit of that's clear, not too crazy, but within the color scheme that I'm looking for. So I'm looking for yellows, right? I'm looking for yellow. I'm looking for something that will help Spyro pop. Okay, so we got two. It seems we got two decent ones I'm seeing right off. We're just off the cuff here. Okay. So here's what we'll do. We will go like this. Go copy image. Go paste. Is that the size? Is that really the size? Hold on. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. When it comes to just a JPEG, I can just copy and paste really quickly. Sunnyvilla. Sunnyvilla is a pretty good one. We're gonna go with this for now, because while it's green, it has that yellow tinge to it. But that's okay because we are also gonna quickly go and take a look at another one. Sorry. As soon as I heard it hit my head. And then we'll go with paste. So that's a much bigger one, as you can see. So again, we got So we're going to go with a Sunny Villa. Let's look up Sunny Villa, see if it kind of hits more. Okay. So we have a couple of options here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to drop those, and we're going to drop everything else, and just have these things up right now. We're going to take these, put them below here like that. There we go. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to make change the layer. So what I'm doing right now is I am making the background black. And you might be wondering why. So here is one of my first lessons when it comes to making thumbnails. One of the things that you want to do is that you want, if you have your character in the foreground and it's well lit, okay, you don't want the background to be as well lit. And what happens is that it starts to become a bit of a mess, in my opinion. So my thumbnail designs have always been make sure that the subject that is in front is the most clear and everything else is just accented. So let's see if we want to use Sunny Villa. I can click that. And then what I do is that I then personally, Autumn Plains maybe, I've used Autumn Plains a lot. Autumn Plains is a fantastic level, but I have used it a lot in thumbnails. Thank you so much, though, for the $2. So here's what I do. What I like to do is I like to lower the opacity of the background so that you can still see it. And then what I do is that I then go to filter and I go to blur and I go to Gaussian blur and I put just a modest blur on it. So that's perfectly sharp. We put a modest blur on it. And what that's going to do is that, especially when it's this size, when it's the size of a thumbnail, the background is not clashing so much with the foreground. And what you can do is that you can then kind of tweak it and get it to a point where you want it. And Spyro will always be well lit, right? You just got to find kind of like the sweet spot of where the background is nice and clear, but the foreground is nice and pops so that you can see. Now, here's something else that I like to do as well. What I like to do as well is that I like to figure out what my complementary color is going to be exactly right off the hop. And what I know is that I know that we have Spyro, and we have the Toys for Bob logo over here, which is purple, the complementary color. The purple is yellow. So what I do is I try to find a nice yellow, a yellow that doesn't look too anemic. You gotta watch yellow sometimes. Yellows and greens you gotta watch. You can have a shade of yellow that's gorgeous, and then one shade to the left or right, and it looks like anemic brown. It's not good. My thing is always throw a little bit of orange in there. Throw a little orange, make it closer to gold. Because if you make it pure yellow, it's like anemic pea yellow, atomic yellow. I then make a new layer, and what I literally do is that I make a screen, just a kind of a yellowy screen, and then what I do is that I then change it to a soft light. Now, I can adjust this how I want, but when I add, so if I were to pull up the Toys for Bob logo, the way I had it, if I want to add a little bit more yellow, the yellow will make the background pop even more, right? So you have these yellows that are popping through, and they are complementing the purple. And then, of course, for your main subjects, we want to go with some drop shadows just to help them pop just a little bit more. Just a little bit of drop shadow, make them pop a bit, just enough so that they're kind of just off the frame. And then again with Toys for Bob. And again, these are very, very, very simple concepts that you don't need Photoshop for this. You can literally do this on any form of website that you use. If you use Pixlr, if you use GIMP, if you use any of these are very basic things. We're not, as you can see so far in Photoshop, I haven't done anything complicated. I haven't done anything weird. I haven't done anything hard. It's all been relatively very, very, very straightforward and simple. So again, we have that, and we have the question mark, which we'll get to in a second. So now what I can do is that if I want to, I can be like, okay, do I like that background? I can be like, yeah, it's not bad. That's okay. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be like, all right, well, let me turn that off, turn this background on, and kind of get an idea here. Be like, all right, what's this one set at? This one's set at 51, like 61%. So we'll set this one at like 51% as well. And then we'll slap the blur filter. And don't worry about spiral running in the background. Don't worry about that because we can fix that. We can fix that real easy. So we do this, then we turn this on. Is do I like that? And my answer to that is no. I'm not a fan of that. That's not great. Again, Spyro even being there, like if Spyro was even gone, I still am not a fan of that. So that's not so great. Let's try this one, just for the sake of arguing. For the sake of exploration, for the sake of experimentation. Just like that. Turn that on. Make this 50%. Slap a blur. And what I do is I like it so that I can kind of keep control of everything, so that if I want to tweak and adjust things, I can. So I'm like, okay, is that too much yellow? That one's okay. That one's okay. Hey, Sir Dentless, how's it going? I think, in my opinion, if you were to ask me, I think the best one is most likely the one with Sunny Villa. I feel like Sunny Villa just works the best. I feel like it's got color, it pops, but it's not too overpowering. We might add a little bit more yellow there, just a little bit, and then go here and maybe make it a smidge darker. But overall, I kind of like that. I think I might add a little bit more of a blur too, just a little bit more, not much more. Too much. About there. About there. Okay. So I'm happy with that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the question mark, which I have set. And now we're going to do some font design. Now, font design can be very much a pain in the butt. But we can see that the question mark is floating by purple and the background is yellow. So knee-jerk reaction might be, hey, why don't we do a yellow question mark? And to be honest, that is something that we can do. But let's do something a little bit better. What I like to do is I like to do subtle gradients. So let me show you something. You go gradient overlay. And what you do is that you pick your color. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, what color do I want to do? Do I want to go with the purple? Do I want to go with the yellow? Do I want this to be a purple question mark? Is that hard to read? Do I want to go with yellow? Is that hard to read with the background? What do we want to do? So I typically like to go more yellow, and then we go into still yellow, but we do a gradient so that it just adds a little bit of texture, just a little bit. Then we add then we click OK. We add a stroke on the outside. Let's see if we can do something like that. How does that look? Does that work? Is this vibing? Try drop shadow. Does this work? Is this vibing? And the answer to that question, in my opinion, is no. No, it's not quite working out, in my opinion. It's almost there, but it is not quite there. It's not. The question mark is a little jarring. It doesn't really fit the vibe. So I think the problem here is the actual font itself. So let's try and look for. So that was a dramatic one. What was that one? So we have the Zoinks. I've never been a fan of the Zoinks. That one's okay. That one's a little That one's terrible. There was one that I just went by that was dramatic. That was extra. Where was that? There it is. What is that? Jeez, that is an extra one. All right. Let's go through real quick and see if there's a decent looking question mark. Now, it's possible what's throwing me off is the fact that we have this question mark and it's beside a font from Toys for Bob that it doesn't fit the Toys for Bob font. So what you're seeing is kind of two different, like a font clash in a sense. Okay, I'm trying to see what we can do. I don't mind that, but I think we have to adjust the color. I think we have to adjust the color, whether I like it or not. So let's try the purple. So when you're doing this and you're kind of trying to figure out what is tweaking it, right? Trying to get it right. You can try different things. Sometimes maybe a glow is required. Maybe we can try a glow. See, will that help? Does that help? Let me see here. Does that help if we do this? Just to kind of help it a little bit. Maybe we just go with, with the Sabek. Maybe we should just go literally just white because of it would better match the Toys for Bob logo. To be honest, actually, that does work. I think that was it. It was like the color clash and kind of the... So there we go. So that is a pretty decent thumbnail, if I do say so for myself. I think that's not bad. Now, I'm trying to figure out here where I found it to you. It's called Cool Beans, but awesome. Hey, Average Channel, how's it going? Thank you so much for the £2. I appreciate that. How are you and the missus, mate? We're doing pretty good, Average Channel. We're doing all right. We're doing all right. Thank you so much for reaching out. I appreciate that. So, thank you so much for the £2 as well. Again, appreciate it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go File, and I'm going to go Save As, and we're going to call this Spyro Toys for Bob Still Can Make Spyro 4. There we go. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to export this. Export as, and we're going to export this as a JPEG. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you another tool that I use that I love. And if anybody is making YouTube videos and making thumbnails, you should use this tool, and it is absolutely bloody free. All you need is an internet connection and you're good to go. What you need to go to is you need to go to thumbsup.tv. And what this tool is, which I love very much so, is you upload the video. Did it not upload? Why did you not upload? Open. Oh, that's what it did. And then what you do is that, again, you're figuring out your packaging. So we go here. Can Toys for Bob make Spyro 4 as an indie studio. We'll go with that. We'll click copy, drop that down, and we'll type the title in here. And now we can actually look and see. We can now see the combination together on the web browser. So someone toggles dark mode. So let's say somebody logs on and they see, oh, Ken Toys For as an indie studio. Okay, so when someone logs on the computer, that's what they see. When they're at their home, can they see this? All right, Ken Toys for Bob make Spyro 4 as an indie. Okay, next, then sidebar. So that's still clear. We can still get an idea of what is going on. Channel page large, when someone's looking on the page large. History, but I'll show you the one that is most important, and that is this right here, mobile. Mobile is the biggest platform in terms of content is watched. It is the largest by a large margin. It is 50% of all traffic. 50% of all traffic, it is on mobile. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that your thumbnail, if there is one thing that you want to make sure that your thumbnail is optimized for, it's for mobile. And we can see Apple TV, and we get the original image. So there we go. So what would happen if I added a N here, as an indie studio? Does that really, as an indie studio? Okay. As an indie, that's still good as an indie. So even if it's truncated a little bit, we can still see it still asks the same question. Can Toys for Bob make Spyro 4 as an indie? That's still going to work. Can as an indie studio. So all of it still works. It doesn't truncate any of the title. Everything works. So now, oh, that's really cool. Is that the Cool Beans Bro font? That's really cool. I like that. That's cool. That's an interesting font. I like it. I like it a lot. Thank you for sending that over. I appreciate that. And I will look into that font after the stream is done. Thank you. So, thumbsup.tv is a completely free tool. You don't have to pay anything for it. But now I understand my packaging for the video. I now understand, okay, I now understand what my thumbnail is going to look like. I understand what the title is going to be. So when I go to do my script, when I go to do my recording, I now know that the title of my video, when it goes live, is going to be Ken Toys for Bob Makes Spyro 4 as an indie studio. And I also know that the thumbnail is going to have Spyro pointed to the logo of Toys for Bob and being questioning. So I can now kind of figure out and draft when I go to script and when I go to record how to get it right and how to make it sound right and how to make it look right. So I'm going to open up a new text doc. We're going to open up with a title saying Toys for Bob has been on the news for the past month for all of has been on our minds. See, trying to get things worked out, right? Toys for Bob is on our minds for the past month since they have turned into an indie studio. One question remains for many fans. Can Toys for Bob still work on Spyro 4? Or any Spyro? Furthermore, can they work on any Spyro or Crash games. Let's talk about it. So now I have an idea as to which one. This is open Word. This is open document, free. So this is just open text document, open Office. And so now we're opening up the video with, now that I know any Spyro on, or even Crash games. Let's talk about it. Okay, so now we would get into the scripting portion of our video, where we sit down and we figure out and we sort out, okay, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it? What's going to go on? However, I have been doing a bit more of a better technique recently that allows me to, since I've been scripting for so long, and I've been recording for so long, and I have been doing this for such a long time, I now can not wing it, but I can make a general gist of the idea of where we're going with the video and then record the video. And I'll show you how I can do it. Now, it is totally okay to completely script your videos. In fact, I have pages. I've been doing that for years and years and years, and I still do it, especially if I need to make sure that I get information 100% locked down and in key. However, nowadays, in the past couple of videos, I've been able to save a lot of time in not scripting, and by being able to get other tools and other things to be able to fix things, because it's very, very, the tool that I use helps me with all this. So I'm just going to show you what I do now as I script. So we do intro, right? Intro, you know, what's up guys, Guy Eh here, I'm back with a brand new video, right? So I'm going to open up with saying, once again, Toys for Bob going indie is overall something amazing. However, there have been concerns raised by fans on whether or not they can continue to make Crash and Spyro games. And then I just have explained that Xbox now owns the rights, right? So this is where I do a little bit of a hook, and I am intentionally, with this hook, what I'm about to do is I'm going to try to say something that is not controversial. What I'm saying is technically correct, and it sounds bad. But once I explain it, you understand. Right? So I'm going to then say, so what I'll do is I'll do something like this. I'll say hook and explain, is Toys for Bob allowed? And there's a way to be able to just to be able to tweak it. Just tweak it a little bit. And what this is going to do is that this is going to further explain my point, but also cause a little bit of a perk up. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the viewer to perk up for a moment and be like, wait, what? That is my goal here, is this section is going to make someone say, wait, what? That is my goal here. Hook, is Toys for Bob allowed to make Crash and Spyro titles? Technically, no. But fear not. And it's not. So again, Hook, is Toys for Bob allowed to make Crash and Spyro titles? Technically, no. But fear not, because there's a lot more to the subject and it's not black and white. And what this is setting up and explaining, there's a double hit for this too. There's a double whammy of this too. People that are coming in and they are doubting and they are saying, "Oh, no, we already know this is all, no, we already know." This statement is actually going to throw them off because I am agreeing with them. And then the people that typically come and know that my positive demeanor, they're going to be taken back a little bit at first and be like, "Wait, what? What? I'm confused. I don't understand." And for both parties that are coming in with either a neutral, negative, or positive point of view, this line is going to hook them to keep watching. Because I'm explaining here that technically no. And the reason why it's no is because they don't own the rights. But there's evidence to suggest that they are going to be partnering up and therefore they can work together. You see how that works? There's a lot more to the subject and it's not black and white. So then what we're going to do is that we're going to now start to refer back to this other document here. I'm going to put this other document for myself over here so I can start pulling stuff in. Because there's a lot more to the subject and it's not black and white. So what we're going to do is the first thing that we're going to explain is third-party studios. What is a third-party studio? What do they do? Are they owned? And the answer is no. They can take any IP that they want and be able to do that. Then we're going to tie it in to explain the partnership. So then what we're going to do is that we're going to say bring up indie announcement. And then we're going to say bring up indie announcement. Read partnership with Microsoft. Which implies a third party connection. Right? Right. Okay. Hold on. One second. I gotta take a look at this print. Hold on. Is it dying? Is it gonna die? No. Is it gonna work? This is the farthest it has gotten before it has failed. Before the whole thing would be at a cataclysmic failure by now. And it's not. So go us. We're doing it. I believe in you, Grumpy! I believe in you! Give me a second. I'm just gonna grab some water real quick. I need to grab some water real fast. Okay. It's not, we're not done yet. Okay. Grumpy needs support. Grumpy does need a support. It does. Keep it up. Keep it up. Oh. Water to threat. Yes, I'm threatening the 3D printer. Okay. Which applies to third-party connection. Now, which applies to third-party connection. So, what I want to do here is I want to also insert an argument from somebody else about the partnership, because people want to say, oh, because this is an argument that I have heard where they're like, oh, well, the potential, that's a soft argument, right? Argument against partnership. So the argument against the partnership. Then what we're going to do is that we are then going to bring up precedent of Battletoads. Delilah is a indie working on a legacy IP by Rare. So we're putting down the precedent of that. So we're setting that down. Then we're going to follow up with explaining that indies typically, but we don't want to dwell on this too long. Rely on crowdfunding for the first project. TFB has a game in development. Then we're going to tie it to the Unreal. We're going to then tie it to the Unreal post on their socials, showing they had a game in development before they went indie. So now I'm going to tie it to the Unreal post on their social, showing that they had a game in development before they went indie. And then read, we are confident in our future. Explain Activision's involvement through via IP. So now we are, oh my gosh. Sleepy Brit, who I believe would have to be Lozzie. Now, I'm going to say, I thought it was so like Brit as in Brittany. And I was like, oh, someone who's named Brittany who's sleepy. No, it's a sleepy British, which is, I believe, Lozzie. I think it's nice you were 3D printing spaghetti. Thanks. I wish it wasn't spaghetti. I can crochet spaghetti. We can combine. Hey! Also want to add how wholesome you and Dale's chat was. I appreciate that. That's very sweet. That is awesome. That is awesome. Thank you so much for the $48.98 through Streamlabs. I appreciate that, Lozzie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. With all my heart, thank you so much for the support. And guys, if you guys want to see more of this kind of stuff, let me know. I'm excited to show you guys kind of behind the curtain, behind the scenes, giving you guys an idea as to how I make my videos and how we get to the end result. And I really do want to As I said, the thing that I want to do is I want to eventually make a course about how to launch your gaming channel. And I know there are YouTube gurus everywhere, and they give a lot of general information that is very similar and very the same. And today's stream is a little bit of an idea. Today's stream is a little bit of an idea as to it has been, people make a lot of advice videos for YouTubers in general, but what people don't realize is gaming YouTubers do things that are completely different. And just because something that works for an athletic YouTuber, it doesn't necessarily work for a video game YouTuber. And I want to show people how to figure out how to make good videos and how to find your niche. And I want to figure out a way to be able to teach people. And this stream is kind of like a very small, tantalizing tease as to what could be coming in the future as a full-blown course, where I would explain everything from starting from, okay, here is, we can have videos that are like, here's how to even launch the channel, all the way up to figuring out your niche, your videos, editing, thumbnail design, whatever. And I want to be able to help people figure out how to at least get their first 1,000 subscribers, get them monetized, and get them starting on a path that is not just going to be a short-term investment, but a long-term investment. And that's what I want to do. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. And me helping teach people how to make these videos, these channels, these things in the future may become a part of the Canadian Guy A brand, because I love teaching people. I love teaching people. So if you guys are interested, let me know. Still hasn't failed yet. Still going, which is good. Okay. Read, we are confident in our future. Explain Activision's involvement through via IP. It seems very obvious. So now, what we're going to do is, what we're going to hammer with is, we're going to end it with this. We're going to end this video with, hi, Sophia, how's it going? So we're going to end this video by hammering in the point of hold your horns, here comes Spyro, and tying it to the cryptic messages that Toys for Bob has. So we're going to say, read end of indie article. After we read the end of the indie article, what we're then going to do is we are then going to hammer home TFB's cryptic nature. Okay. Cryptic nature. Tie into end of cryptic nature. Show old Rumble post as example. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to mention nature, show old Rumble as an example, among others. And then we're going to hammer in, and what we're going to do is that we're going to hammer in the point that show old Rumble post an example among others. And then let me think here. Explain. Hold your. Hey, here's an extra $5 from Grandma for yesterday's misstream. I appreciate that, Elena. Thank you so much for the $5. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's so sweet of you. That's so awesome of you. Thank you so much for your love and support. Thank you, everyone, for your love and support tonight. I appreciate it. This is new grounds for me, and seeing the support and love just lets me know. This is right. CG, am I allowed to break you? Am I allowed to break you tomorrow? I give you permission, Lazi. Yes, you are allowed. I give you permission. I appreciate it. Fly! Get the flies away. Anyway, all right. Spyro. And no other IP while mentioning while talking about the future. So, what we're going to do now, why not use ChatGPT? Because why would I use ChatGPT for personality? ChatGPT can't make connections the way a human can when it comes to these types of videos. ChatGPT isn't going to be able to create the type of mental connections that a bunch of these videos require. That it would take me more time to program the bloody thing to be able to do that versus me just doing it. So I disagree with using ChatGPT for especially these type of videos, because it doesn't really make sense in my opinion. And no other IP while talking about the future implies Spyro is the future. And what's the what would be another really good aspect here? Future. There was another point I need to make here. There's another point I need to make here. It applies Spyro as the future. Okay, so there's a point here that I need to kind of explain here, though, is that so okay, because we'll actually kind of finish with a question. What is the point of Toys for Bob going indie if they are just going to have a contract with Microsoft afterwards? Explain Microsoft autonomy. I know I spelled that wrong. Doesn't matter. Explain Microsoft autonomy. TFB had to answer to Activision, but as an indie developer, they no longer have to listen to Activision the way they did before, like supporting COD, Overwatch. Joke, maybe we'll do a joke. answer to Microsoft directly. Spyro 4 is very much on the table. And then end. Okay. So, now we have all of this kind of put together. Right? So now, it's time for the recording. Now, every time we go to do recording on stream, it does have a tendency to get a little bit goofy. But hopefully that doesn't happen now. Hopefully. All right, give me a second here. So I was in the middle of doing something, but we're going to save as. We're going to save this as. All right. Can Toys for Bob work on Spyro as an indie? Perfect. Okay. So here we go. Here's what we're going to do. What we're going to do is I'm going to mute my desktop audio because otherwise you're going to hear it doubling. No one wants to hear that. I'm not going to record my face for this video. We're going to keep this as strictly B-roll, and because trying to record my... Actually, no, we can record my face for this video, and I just realized we can do that. We can do... We have the technology. We have the power. Just give me a second here. So I just need to turn off the donation goal. There we go. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to focus my camera. Whoa! That's pretty good. Beep. There we go. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to record. So as you can see, we have the full cam. We're going to be shifting back to the regular cam as soon as I'm done recording. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click record over here on... So I'm going to let you guys know something, okay? So here we go. Okay? From this point on, I am going to be focusing on recording. Just let me get this video done, and then I'm going to explain everything, all right? So I'm not going to be looking over here. Someone could send a $100 donation and no alerts are going to go off, and I am sorry for that. But do not worry. I will be making sure I read every single little thing as soon as I am done recording. But I will explain something really, really, really quick. You are going to see me pause. So I am going to be sitting here and I'm going to be talking, and you're going to see me kind of screw up, and then I'm just going to stop. I'm going to count down, and then continue going. You're going to be seeing some weird things, and so some people are going to be like, what is he doing? I will explain everything as soon as I am done. So for now, buckle up, strap in, and you're going to see what's going to happen. Hopefully nothing blows up. All right. From here on out, I'm recording just for... It's going to be probably about 15-20 minutes. Here we go. Recording over on Streamlabs started. Recording over on Adobe Premiere started. Sound sync. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we are recording. Can Toys for Bob work on Spyro as an indie? Here we go. 3, 2, 1, 0. Toys for Bob has been on our minds for the past month since they turned into an indie studio. However, one of the questions remains for many fans. Toys for Bob has been on our mind. Toys for Bob has been on our minds for a little bit since they become an indie studio. One of the questions that remains, though, for many, many fans, can Toys for Bob still work on Spyro 4? Furthermore, can they work on any other Spyro titles or even Crash Bandicoot titles? Let's talk about it. What's up, guys? Canadian Guy here, and back with a brand new Spyro 4 video. Now, if you've been living under a rock and you don't know, Toys for Bob has recently become independent. Now, what does that exactly mean? Well, in very, very, very short terms, it basically means that, well, Toys for Bob doesn't have to answer to anybody. They can make and develop anything that they want because they're independent. They don't need to rely on any big AAA publisher. And overall, it's amazing. And the reason why that's amazing is because, well, Toys for Bob is known for already their amazing work ethics and already their amazing work atmosphere. And imagine that, but away from the Activision Microsoft space. I mean, it just sounds amazing to work there. However, there have been concerns raised by many, many, many fans on whether or not Toys for Bob can actually continue to develop titles for Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. More specifically, Spyro 4. Now, there is definitely a bit of a wrinkle in this thought. The reason why this is a little bit of a problem is simply because, yes, Microsoft actually does own the intellectual rights to both Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon, which means that only studios underneath the platform of Xbox can produce these IPs. So, does that mean, since Toys for Bob has gone indie, is Toys for Bob allowed to make Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon titles? Technically, no, but fear not, because there is a lot more nuance and thoughts to this, so don't freak out. It's going to be all right. I'm going to explain. So, don't freak out. It's going to be okay. I'm going to explain. One of the things that a lot of people seem to forget when it comes to these types of development cycles is that there is such thing as third-party studios. Now, many of you have heard first-party studios, and many of you actually may have heard of third-party studios. I'm going to rewind that a little bit. Now, there's a little bit of a detail that people... seem to forget when it comes to game development, and that is the existence of third-party studios to first-party AAA games. Now, what does that exactly mean? Not just AAA games. Now, there's something that people seem to tend to forget when it comes to game development, and that is third-party studios. But what exactly is a third-party studio to a major publisher? Well, the general idea is simple. It's that basically these AAA studios approach studios that are not underneath their brand and write up a contract for a project between both parties, figuring out what games that they want to make. Maybe the AAA developer wants to see what they can do, or maybe they're interested in what they can do in a future acquisition. Rewind that. What people tend to forget about third parties is that game development is that there's this aspect that's called third-party development. Now, some people might be confused to that, but let me quickly explain. Imagine a AAA studio like Xbox approaching a studio like Toys for Bob and asking them to develop a title on behalf of Xbox through a contract. It allows the indie developer to then negotiate with the AAA studio to figure out what they want to do on the project and if they want to work on that project. And if they come to a mutual agreement in terms of funding, then the AAA publisher hands the developer the money, and the developer goes and makes a game based under the IP that is under that publisher. Now, like I said, Toys for Bob just announced that they went indie. Now, like I said, Toys for Bob relatively recently announced that they went indie. And in that announcement, they said this, quote, "To make this news even more exciting, we're exploring a possible partnership between our new studio and Microsoft." Now, remember how I said that there is supposed to be a connection between the third parties? Now, remember what I just said about third-party development, about how a AAA publisher would approach an indie and ask them to make one of their games? This lines up perfectly and exactly to that statement and to that process. However, many people looked at this and tore it apart and said, well, it technically says possible partnership and doesn't confirm any form of an actual on-paper, and it doesn't confirm any actual on-paper partnership as of yet. Also, people sit there and say, has this ever happened before? Why is this even a possibility? Why are people thinking that this is a Now, some people might be saying, okay, CG, sure, third-party developers, but has this ever happened with any of Microsoft's third-party content? Now, some of you might be thinking, yeah, okay, CG, I understand, I get it, third-party developers, but has Microsoft ever sent off a piece of retro IP that they have off to a different studio from the studio that actually owned it previously? And the answer to that is yes. Yes, it has. I want you to introduce... And the answer to that is yes. Yes, they have, and it has happened. Let me introduce you to Dlala Studios. Dlala Studios is an indie company, as in they are not owned by Activision, they're not owned by Microsoft, they are their own independent studio. Now, if you are into some very classic games, you may recognize this name as they were the developers of the 2020 release of Battletoads. And if you may know, Battletoads was originally made by Rareware all the way back in the day, being one of the most popular and most ported games ever in the industry. So, yes, even though this was a game that was originally made and developed by Rare, it is actually now a... So while, yes, this was a game that was technically developed by Rare, it was Dlala Studio that was an indie studio to begin with, is the one who developed it. So while, yes, Rare was the studio that originally made Battletoads, Dlala was a third-party company, which again, not owned by Microsoft, that literally made it... We'll get this. While, yes, Battletoads is a retro IP developed by Rare, it was Dlala that brought it back in 2020. So there is precedent to suggest that, yes, Microsoft will do this and has done it in the past. Additionally, there's a little bit of an interesting timing issue. Typically, when companies go indie, they need to do crowdfunding, whether it be through Indiegogo, Kickstarter, and have some sort of tangible idea to pitch to everybody. But Toys for Bob didn't actually do that. Toys for Bob just went straight indie and already had a project in development. So they actually kind of skipped over that aspect because, again, in the announcement, they say that there is a game already in development. And Ironically enough, if we go and take a look at their social media, specifically Toys for Bob, they showed that back in December of 2023 that they were already working on a game in Unreal Engine 5. This picture is the entire team at Toys for Bob at the time before the layoffs, depicting them practicing and showing off different prototypes that they may have been working on to everybody. This image here shows the entire team of Toys for Bob sitting down and looking at different presentations for different aspects for a project. And in my opinion, if we then look at the bottom, and I want to remind you, this post was before the company went indie. And again, it just so happens that after they've gone indie, they still have a project in development. So to me, that makes it that this project that we're seeing in Unreal Engine 5 is the same project that they're mentioning in the article of them going indie. Speaking of the article of them going indie, if you want to sit there and you want to nitpick and see the words of possible partnership, then you should read a couple lines below where it says, quote, "Our friends at Activision and Microsoft have been extremely supportive of our new direction, and we're confident that we will continue to work closely together as a part of our future." Now, again, the article is explaining that Toys for Bob is going to be involved with both Microsoft and Activision. And they are literally saying that they are, quote, confident that they are going to be a part and working closely together as a part of Toys for Bob's future. Come on, do I have to spell it out? Now, again, the piece of evidence that a lot of people are arguing and debating about online is right at the end of the article, where it says, quote, "So keep your horns on and your eyes out for more news. Thank you to our community of players for always supporting us through our journey. We can't wait to share updates on our new adventure." "We can't wait to share updates on our new adventure as an indie studio. Talk to you soon." So, of course, people are pointing out the fact that they're saying "hold your horns," which is a reference to Spyro, as potentially a reference. But people are sitting here and saying, no, it's not a reference. But here's the thing. If you don't know Toys for Bob by now, you haven't been along for round. But here's the thing. If you don't know Toys for Bob by now, you clearly haven't been here long enough. Toys for Bob is well known for years now to be always dropping hints and little nuggets of information for their future titles. They have been doing this since 2018. It is a big, obvious thing that if you've been watching Toys for Bob since then, they drop nuggets of information everywhere. For example, we're still finding information that we didn't even know were hints back in the day, like during the Crash Bandicoot 25th anniversary. While the day was happening, over on the Crash Bandicoot page, they were posting like crazy with a whole bunch of different images of Crash Bandicoot interacting in different ways. Now, at the time, we thought that it was going to be the time that they were going to announce Wumpa League, as that was the name of the Crash multiplayer title at the time. However, what we didn't know at that moment was that the game was called Crash Team Rumble. However, one of the posts that Crash Bandicoot dropped was this, of Crash running across the screen here with ones and zeros, and it's saying Rumble, Rumble, Rumble. And at the time, we had no idea what it meant, and we didn't really even look at it. However, looking back, and with hindsight being 2020, that was a hint towards the title of the game, because we didn't even know the title of the game yet. So Toys for Bob being cryptic is absolutely on brand. So of course, at the end of their article, they're saying, hold your horns, because that is exactly what I think that they're referring to and what they're teasing. They, I believe, are teasing Spyro. And the reason why is because they are literally... We're going to rewind a little bit. And again, that's why I think Hold Your Horns, obviously being a reference to Spyro, is a direct reference to what Toys for Bob is currently working on. Notice how they just say hold your horns. They don't say hold your wumpas, or they don't give a generalization. It's literally just hold your horns. In my opinion, that's a big telling feature to say that the future that they are currently working on is related to our Purple Lad Spyro. Now, some of you might literally ask, okay, what was the point of Toys for Bob going indie then if Microsoft is just going to turn around and contract them to work on Crash and Spyro anyways? Why couldn't they just continue to work the way they had it before? Well, it's a little bit complicated. Microsoft operates their companies by letting the studio heads and kind of letting their whole studios run under their own autonomy. So basically, one of the things that they did was they made sure that Blizzard and Activision weren't really working together anymore. Blizzard was working on their stuff and Activision was working on their stuff. Well, the thing is that while Toys for Bob was under... But the thing is, while Toys for Bob was still kind of set free, they were still under the Activision rule, which means that Activision still could technically tell Toys for Bob to go back and work on any project that they want. However, if Toys for Bob were to become an indie studio, that means that they now develop a contract and speak directly with Microsoft, and they will work with Activision, but as a partner and not as a underling studio, which basically means that now Toys for Bob takes their commands from Microsoft when it comes to these types of projects, and Activision can't tell Toys for Bob to go work on any other titles like Overwatch or Call of Duty. It's up to Toys for Bob to decide what they want to work on, no matter what. All this is to say that the argument that Toys for Bob is not working on a new Spyro because they are now indie, it does not add up and it does not make sense, because it is still very, very, very possible for them to be able to work with Microsoft when it comes to these IPs, whether it's Spyro 4, a new Crash Bandicoot, or heck, maybe even Banjo-Kazooie. But that's for a different video. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. If you want to see more Spyro news and more Crash Bandicoot content, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned below. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Bye-bye! Stopping recording in 3, 2, 1. Stopping recording in 3, 2, 1. Okay. So that was that felt strange for me. How was that for you? Okay. Okay. So, you guys saw directly how I make my videos. So, I'm going to break down a couple of things. And in fact, I'm just going to show you. We had 2 donations come in. Or 1 donation. Should Spyro Blush be in the video? Thank you so much for the $2. He's at a nice spot right now. I have a hard time posing him, but he's at a spot right now where he can, sit. So, now that we've done that, I'm going to shift us over back to our regular stream, and I'm going to show you what I did. So here, what I did was I recorded my direct audio right into the actual edit itself. Just right into the edit. So, Crash Bandicoot interacting in different ways. Now, at the time, we... Hello, my dear. I know it's making me nervous, but it's fixable.
Okay.
Trust me, I'm nervous too.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I wanted to know if you wanted chocolate chips or chocolate muffin. Or, sorry, chocolate chip cookies or chocolate muffin.
Cookies?
Yes.
You gotta have cookies. Chocolate chip cookies with milk, yeah.
Okay.
Heck yeah.
I had zucchini, I need to use that. And it ended up being a four batch.
That's fine.
So I have a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Hi, everybody.
hello.
Woo.
Alright.
How's it going? Heard you just recording for a bit.
Yeah, it was, I was able to turn this into a 20-minute raw recording.
Cool.
So, imagine if I had to script all that. Right,
Ew.
so it would probably take me a day, but now I'm able to kind of run it on the fly. So.
No. Okay, well, I'll have cookies up soon.
Okay, well, I love you.
Love you.
Okay. So you guys might sit here and hear this audio, and you might be like, "Oh, that doesn't sound like CG's typical audio." I'll turn it up a little bit. And you're gonna hear it. Bob is well known for years now to be always dropping hints and little nuggets of information for their future titles. So I record right into Adobe Premiere, but I also record on my Streamlabs. So let me show you what I'll show you what I mean. We go here. Where are you? So what I'm doing is I am making literally two versions to make sure that I have the that I don't lose anything, right? That I don't lose anything, that I don't if the face goes bad, I have the audio. If the audio here goes bad, I have the audio on the other one. So I have a double. So watch this. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take this is the audio file. I am now going to click and drag in the video file that I just recorded. It's going to transcode real quick here. I'm going to show you a couple of things. Now, some of you heard me doing the clear enunciation at the start. You heard me say sound sync. I did a clap, and then I did a countdown, and then I did a snap, and I did all these things. And you might be like, "Oh my gosh, CGE, what are you doing? What is this? What is this bloody? What's it called? Not metaphor. What is this ritual that you do? Is it do I have to do it?" Everyone, it's not a ritual. I'm going to explain why I did each thing. Now, some people do things a bit differently. This is how I do it, personally. Now, this is just me. So, here we go. So, that is done transcoding. So, first thing that we're going to do, that I'm going to show you, is that if I'm going to mute the audio track directly into the edit, and I'm just going to let you hear the audio for the face cam. Has been our mind. Toys for Bob has been on our minds for a little bit since they become an indie studio. So you can hear the quality isn't quite as good, but that's why I do a direct recording right into Adobe Premiere. So for those who don't know, what I can do. So here's the problem, though. I want to show you something. If I were to just hit play, watch what would happen. Or even Crash Bandicoot titles. Many Let's fans. Talk about it. Can Toys for Bob... So I have two lines of dialogue going at the same time, but there's no need to rely on any big AAA publisher. No, you don't want that. You don't want that. So what you have to do is that you have to sync your audio. So how do you sync your audio? Well, you have to figure out where's a point that it can line up, and you can be like, I do it by ear? No, I do it by visual. So watch. I'm going to do what I'm going to do here is I'm going to find the sound of the clap, the right. This is a loud, abrasive, and that's it. And I don't clap throughout the video. This is what is syncing the sound. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to visually look for the clap. I can already see where the clap is, but I'm going to visually look for the clap. 1, 2, 1. And I'm going to take the audio that I recorded here and line it up. I can see here, if we zoom in here, we can see here that this sharp, yay, hand clap, sorry. So we're going to take this and I'm going to bring this audio file that I recorded right into Adobe Premiere and line it up. 1. Now it is sunk. The audio is now sunk. It is no longer playing at 2 different. Now there is definitely a bit of a both audio things are playing at the same time. Wrinkle in this thought. So what we're now going to do is that we are going to actually grab the audio, the lesser quality audio that's bad, and delete that. The reason why this is a little bit of a problem is simply because... So now we have the audio from me speaking right into the microphone, into the edit, and we have the visual of the camera. So now we have... So now our sound is sunk. So that means we can trim this. That's trimmed. We'll go here. And this is trimmed as well. 3, 2. Now, awesome. Everything is all lined up. And now we're ready to edit, right? Wrong! We are not ready to edit because the audio is not to my liking. It is not buttery smooth. It is not beautiful. It is not the epitome of perfection that I like. So we go over here and watch. You can literally hear the background noise. You can hear Grumpy the printer being loud and obnoxious, and you can just hear the general room sound, and it's obnoxious and it's loud and it's annoying. But this is why you see me do this. 3, 2, 1. You notice how deathly quiet I get. Now I have a visual for me as more for me to be able to know we're counting down. I am then going to right click this, and this is one of the benefits of working in Adobe is that you can then send files and projects to other programs within Adobe. And I click Edit Clip in Adobe Audition. So Adobe Audition is Adobe's audio editing software. So now I open up Adobe Audition. And then I just take, first thing I do is I check a general listen to the volume. Is it too loud? Is it just loud enough? Is there any distortion? Is there no distortion? I just take a quick develop titles for Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. More specifically, Spyro 4. Now, there is definitely a bit of a wrinkle in this. So you can hear the 3D printer in the background. And of course, you don't want that. Hey, Laura, how's it going? So what you do? What I'm going to do is the first thing that I would do is that if I found it was a little bit too quiet, I would amplify the noise first. That's the first thing I would do. I would amplify to make it a little bit louder. To be honest, you're not, but to be honest, thought, I think it's loud enough. So that's good. What we're going to do now is I am then, remember the countdown, and I clap, and then I'm deathly silent. The reason why I'm deathly silent is I want to select that silence. Well, what can you hear? You can hear the fan. You can hear the room ambiance. You can hear that, right? Well, what I'm going to do now is I am then going to go here and I'm going to click something called Noise Reduction and Restoration, and I'm going to say Capture Noise Print. What I am doing by selecting that when I count down, by selecting that, I am telling Adobe Audition, take this sound clip, capture it. So now it is captured, and now here's the fan in the background. You can hear the and all the room ambiance. You can hear that in the background, right? I'm going to select the entire clip. I'm going to click Effects. I'm going to click it again, except this time I'm going to click Noise Reduction. What this is, what you are seeing is the sound wave of me going deathly silent and recording the entire ambiance of the room. And what I am literally telling Adobe is take that sound clip that I just gave you, analyze the entire audio file, and remove every aspect of that noise. I click Apply. It reads, it analyzes, and look. Do you hear it? Do you hear it? No. Poof. Gone. Okay, we are recording. Pretty fancy, and this is going to tie into another tool that we're going to use very shortly. So then, what do? Well, the next thing that we do is we're going to do something called mastering. I'm going to select my entire thing. I'm going to hit Special. I'm going to click Mastering, and I'm going to do a preset called Make Room for Vocals. Now, what this is going to do is that it is going to go through the entire audio track. If there is, it's going to find a normal, like a pretty normal, relatively wide sound, but if there's anything that's a little too quiet, it's going to make it louder, and if there's anything that's a little too loud, it's actually going to make it quieter. So it's literally just normalizing to make it more even and make the sound not as abrasive, more buttery smooth, and then it sounds like this. Now, if you've been living under a rock and you don't know, Toys for Bob has recently become independent. Now, what does that exactly mean? Well, in very, very, very short. So then I click File, Save. It saves the file. And now that it's saved, I drop it down and I go back to Adobe Premiere, and it just updated. It just put that audio file that I just edited back in place as is, done, ready to go. To anybody, they can make and develop anything that they want. So, okay, now we're ready to edit, right? Yes and no. It seems like it's best time to start cutting up, find the best take, find the best this, find the best that, and yes, it is time for that, but doesn't that sound tiresome to you? Doesn't that sound annoying to sit there, listen to take after take, and then, oh, I just wung it, so now I got, 20 minutes of footage, and I got to figure out what's the best take. What can I... You see, this is what I mean by making tools that's faster for you. First thing I do is that I fast forward right to the point where I actually start talking about the video. Because an indie studio. 0. Toys for Bob. Now, I know I screwed up right at the beginning, so I'm not even going to bother. Toys for Bob has been our mind. So we're going to start right here. So we're going to sync that up, make that nice. Syncy sync. It's right click and click link. So now they are linked together. Grumpy, stop grinding your gears. I get things grind your gears, but stop grinding. You're scaring me. This is the furthest you've ever gotten. I'm watching you. Do any audio compression to eliminate pops and stray clipping. So, yeah, the noise mod thing that I do kind of does that already as well. Okay, so now we're going to keep going. Toys for Bob has been on our minds for a little bit since they become an indie studio. Now, notice how whenever I screw up, I go quiet and then I restart. I don't try to fumble. And I don't say, okay, let's restart, and then try the line. The reason why is I can visually tell you where I screwed up. Just look, see? I can see there's nothing here. I can look, I can see on the timeline, there's, if it's, my audio is dead silent, that means that that's a take that I messed up, or that's where I messed up. Over here, I know that's a take where I messed up, right? Over here, I know that's a take that I messed up. And so I can just fast forward to all the areas that were clear. I know that's where I screwed up. But that's tiresome too. Isn't that tiresome? Isn't that annoying? Well, this is where I have this extension that I do pay for. I spend $15 a month on this tool. Ladies and gentlemen, if it will work and not be shy, come on. Come on, you know you want to work. There we go. I want to introduce you to AutoCut. Now, what is AutoCut? AutoCut will analyze your video, find where all the silent parts are, cut it, and then cut it to the next part, slam it together, and keep going. Now, that's what it used to do. It used so that I could just hit AutoCut silences. It would find all the moments that I go quiet, remove those, and then all I know is that every single time it cuts, that is where I have to go and fix. But there is a new feature that they added that was called AutoCut Podcast. How does that work? Let me show you. You click your audio clip and you click AutoCut Podcast. Okay? So a sequence with at least 2 video and audio tracks. It does have that. Why are you being... No, that's wrong. Not Auto Podcast. Sorry, it's AutoCut Repeat. AutoCut Repeat. So you click that. So I then tell it, okay, remove silences that are longer than this, shorter than this. Why did it reset the padding? I had this set nicely before, and it went to default for some reason, so I got to quickly touch this up. I believe it was 800 milliseconds. Right. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the track, and then I'm going to click Start Transcription. And what it's going to do, it is going to take my entire audio track and video, and it is going to analyze it, and it's going to transcribe it into text. And then what it's going to do is that it is then going to put the entire transcription up on this screen here, and then I can literally read my video, because I can read faster than I can listen. And then I can choose where to cut and what to cut just by reading. And then hit go, and it goes through and goes bop, 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 and does it all for me. And then I listen through to make sure that my inflections sound right, that the cut isn't too soon or too early, and I tweak it up that way. And then we can start editing. And here we go. So, and it's not too bad. It messes up sometimes, but let's see here. Toys for Bob has been on our minds. Okay, we're going to keep that. One of the questions remains. What's up, guys? Brand new Spire 4 video. Now, if you've been living under a rock, you don't know Toys for Bob has recently become independent. Now, what does that exactly mean? They don't need to rely on a... Well, it's amazing. And the reason why it's amazing is because, well, Toys for Bob is known for all amazing work ethics and already their amazing work atmosphere. And imagine that, but away from space. I mean, it just sounds like it's amazing to work there. Now, I could be like, I don't really... We can cut that. So if I click this, that's going to get cut immediately. And it's removing all of my silences in between all the times that I go quiet and then start. It's removing that and truncating it immediately. However, there have been concerns raised by many fans on whether or not Toys for Bob can actually continue to develop titles for Crash. Now, in this thought, the reason this is the problem is because, yes, so here we go. Technically, no, but fear not, because there's a lot more nuance and thoughts to this, so don't freak out. It's going to be all right. I'm going to explain. So don't freak out. It's going to be okay. I'm going to explain. Now, one of the things that a lot of people forget is when it comes to these types of development cycles is that there is such thing as third-party studios. Now, this was a giant bit of a mess, so I remember having a little bit of a struggle here. So I'm going to sit down. That's correct, Sophia. Clipper, yes. That's exactly right. It allows me to be able to do it very quickly. is third-party studios. Now, many of you have heard first-party studios, and many of you actually may have heard third-party studios. So we're gonna see here. So, now there's a little bit of detail that people seem to forget when it comes to game development, and that is the existence of third-party studios to first-party AAA games. Now, what does that exactly mean? Nope. Now, something that people forget, it comes to game development, that is AAA studio, and that is third-party studios. But what exactly is third-party? Well, the general idea is simple. It's that basically these AAA studios approach studios that are not underneath their brand and write up a contract for a project between both parties, figuring out what games they want to make. Maybe the AAA developer wants to see what they can do. So we don't like that. Drop that. These AAA studios approach studios that are not underneath their brand. Actually, you know what? What people tend to forget. So we're actually going to drop all of that. What people tend to forget, game development, is that there's an aspect that's called third-party development. Now, some people may be confused, but let me quickly explain. Let's open those up. Imagine a AAA studio like Xbox approaching a studio like Toys for Bob and asking them to develop a title on behalf of Xbox through a contract. It allows the indie developer to then negotiate and they come to a mutual agreement in terms of funding. Then the AAA developer, in terms of funding, then I can actually do this and go cut. Nope, not that. Uncut. I can in funding. I can literally do that and click cut and just click cuts a portion of it. So let's keep going. Then the AAA publisher hands the developer the money, and the developer goes and makes a game under the IP that is under that publisher. Now, like I said, Toys for Bob is relatively recently announced that they went indie, and in that announcement, they said this quote. Now, remember how I said that there's supposed to be a connection between the third parties? Yeah, no, we keep that cut. Right. How about how AAA publisher would approach the indie? So this is a lot faster for me. Games, it lines up perfectly the same process. However, many people looked at this and tore it apart and said, well, technically it says plausible partnership and it doesn't confirm any form of an actual it says plausible partner. I'm not sure what's going on here, so I'm going to have to do this manually. That part. Also, people sit there and say, has this ever happened before? Why? Okay, so we're going to cut that. I'll cut that. Now, somebody may say CGE. Sure, third-party developers, but has anyone ever... So, I messed up here. Yeah, okay, CG, I understand. I get it. Third-party developers. But has Microsoft ever sent a piece of retro IP that they have to a different studio? And the answer to that is yes. Yes, it has. Previously, we then cut that. The answer is yes. Yes, they have. It has happened. Let me switch to Delala Studios. Delala Studios is an indie company, as they are not owned by Activision. They're not. As in, they're not owned. We're going to do this. We're going to cut that. They're not owned by Microsoft. They are their own independent studio. Now, if you are into some very classic games, you may recognize the name, as they are developers of the 2020 release of Battletoads. And you may know, Battletoads was originally made by Rareware all the way back in the day, being one of the most popular and the most ported games in the industry. Originally made and developed by Rare. So while yes, this was a game that was technically developed by Rare, it was the Delala Studio. It was the Delala Studio that was an indie studio to begin with, is the one who developed it. So that doesn't make sense. So while yes, Rare was the studio that originally made Battletoads, Delala was the third funding, whether they be through Indiegogo, Kickstarter. We're almost to the bottom. Kickstarter and some of the tangible idea pitch everybody, but Toys for Bob didn't actually do that. Toys for Bob just went straight indie and already had a project in development. So they actually kind of skipped over that aspect because, again, in the announcement, they say that there is a game already in development. And ironically enough, if you go and take a look at the social media, specifically Toys for Bob, they showed yeah, it looks like there was a bit of a dive here. Is anybody else getting back their thing? Ironically, let's picture them as the entire team. Oh. Hopefully everyone is back. This image here shows the entire team of Toys for Bob sitting down and looking at different presentations for different aspects for a project. Indie. And again, it just so happens that after they've gone indie, they still have a project in development. So to me, that makes it that this project that we're seeing in Unreal Engine 5 is the same project that they were mentioning in the article of them going indie. Speaking of the article of them going indie, if we want to sit here and I picked the words of partnership on future. Now again, this article is explaining that Toys for Bob is going to be involved with both active. They're literally saying that they are quote unquote confident that there will be a part of working closely together as part of Toys for Bob's future. Come on, do I have to spell it out? Now again, the piece of evidence that a lot of people are arguing and debating on that bottom line is right at the end of the article where it says, quote, so keep your horns on and your eyes up for more news. Thank you to our community, blah, blah. We can't wait to talk to you soon. So, of course, people are pointing out the fact that they're saying, hold your horns, which is a reference to Spyro, as potentially a reference. But people are sitting there and saying, no, it's not a reference. But here's the thing. If you don't know Toys for Bob by now, you haven't long enough. Toys for Bob is known for years. Little nuggets of information for future titles. They've been doing this since 2018. It is a big obvious thing that if you've been for example, we're still finding information. They've been doing this since 2018. It is a big obvious thing that if you've been watching Toys for Bob since then, they drop nuggets of information everywhere. For example, we're almost done here. At the time, we thought that it was going to be... Hopefully, it was a Crash multiple game. However, what we didn't know was at that moment was that the game was called Crash Rumble. We'll drop all that. However, looking back and with hindsight being 2020, was a hint towards the title of the game because we didn't even know the title of the game yet. So Toys for Bob being cryptic is absolutely on brand. So of course, at the end of the article, they're saying hold your horns because it's exactly. So I am literally editing by text. So of course, at the end of the article, they're saying hold your horns because that's exactly what I think they're referring to and what they're teasing. They, I believe, are teasing Spyro, and the reason why is because they are literally... On the article, they're saying hold your horns because that's exactly what I think they're referring to and what they're teasing. And again, that's why obviously being referenced to Spyro as a direct reference to what Toys for Bob is currently working on. I'll say hold your wampas or narration. It's really just hold your horns, in my opinion. Some of you might literally ask, okay, what was the point of Toys for Bob going indie then if Microsoft is just going to turn around and contract them to work on Crash and Spyro anyways? Why couldn't they just continue to work on the way they had it before? Well, it's a little bit complicated. Microsoft so one of the things they do is make sure Blizzard and Activision weren't really working there anymore. Blizzard was working on their stuff and Activision working on their stuff. While Toys for Bob was still kind of set free, they were still under Activision rule, which means that Activision could still technically tell Toys for Bob to go back and work on any project they want. However, if Toys for Bob were to become an indie studio, that means they now develop a contract and speak directly with Microsoft. They will work with Activision, but as a partner and not as an underling studio, which basically means that now Toys for Bob takes their commands from Microsoft when it comes to these types of projects. And Activision can't tell Toys for Bob to go work on any other titles like Overwatch or Call of Duty. Is Toys for Bob, blah. All of this is to say, but that's for a different video. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. If you want to watch it, thanks. But that's a different video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye. Boom and boom. Okay, so all of that to say, all right. So yes, now I click cut and delete silences. And now what it's going to do is that it's going to go through and it's going to cut and delete all the silences and compress the video. Done and done. And now we have a relatively edited video that is ready for, we went from a 19-minute video to a 9.5-minute video, and we did it in less time. We did that in a lot less time. We now have a rough cut for this video. It's done. We now have we went from a 19-minute raw video to a 9-minute video. So we were trim out 10 seconds or 10 minutes of that video relatively quickly. So, but does that mean that we're done? Well, no, we still have to go through and we have to review and make sure that it sounds good and that it doesn't cut weird. So let's take a listen.
Even Crash Bandicoot titles. Let's talk about it. What's up, guys?
See there, it needs a couple more frames, and that's okay. So we just add a little couple more frames.
Let's talk about it.
There we go. That's good. So,
what's up, guys? Canadian Guy here, and back with a brand new Spyro 4 video.
So now I'm gonna hit down. It's gonna jump me to the next cut.
However, there have been, but away from the Activision Microsoft space. However,
so I sit here and I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound right. So it doesn't remove it. I can.
Sounds amazing to work there. However, there have been.
So then I can just be like, nah, that didn't work. Let me make sure I did that right, actually.
The Activision Microsoft space. However,
so then I'm going to click select all, put all the clips down, pull.
Just sounds amazing to work there.
So I tried to remove it, but the inflection didn't work. So,
however,
because the inflection didn't work.
However, just sounds amazing to work there. However,
so we actually need to kind of swap a little bit, drop a couple frames there, add a couple frames there.
Work there. However, amazing to work there. However, there have been concerns.
That's pretty good if you ask me. Next cut. Let's take a listen real quick.
Allowed to make Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon titles. Technically, no.
So I make a bit of a facial expression here, so of course it can't catch that. So
Spyro the Dragon titles. Technically.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually cut right here.
Technically.
Then we're going to go like that, go like this. Cut here, like that, like that, like that, like that. So
Dragon titles. Technically.
Nice and smooth. Next.
So don't freak out. Don't freak out.
Yeah, okay, so this was an area I was like, I have no idea what's going on here.
It's going to be okay. I'm going to explain. Approach. What people tend to forget about game development is that there's this aspect that's...
What's happening here?
Approach.
Okay, that's a bit of a weird cut there.
What people tend to forget about... It's going to be okay. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. More nuance and thoughts to this. So...
Like that. This.
So...
Do that. Do this. Do this.
Thoughts to this. So
we're going to say, so have a little bit of a hang there and then cut to don't freak out.
And thoughts to this. So don't freak out. It's going to be okay.
There we go. So when you say technically, yeah, so there is going to be remnants of the sound in the background, but again, when you slap a backtrack to it, like when you slap the background track, it's you're not going to hear it.
I'm going to explain.
I may have made the cut a little bit too soon. Maybe 3 frames is a little too tight. Maybe I have to make it more like 6. So now we're going to go like this.
People tend to forget. What people tend to forget about game development, third party. Let me quickly explain. Imagine a AAA.
What happened there? That was weird.
People might be confused to that, but let me. There's this aspect that's called third party development. People might be confused. To that.
And then we can just kind of tweak it and adjust it if we have to.
Now, some people. Third party development. Now, some people might be.
That was really good. That was really smooth, actually. So, but yeah, that is basically the concept is that we go through and we literally then truncate the audio, make it sound smooth. And my first focus is making sure that the audio sounds smooth. I'm not even looking at my face. I don't care what my stupid face is doing, because what's driving the visual is my voice. It's my audio. So I have to make sure that the audio is smooth, it's understandable, and it makes sense. If I'm putting on a stupid face, if I'm saying something important and I look like this, I can cover myself with B-roll and I don't have to like that, and it doesn't matter, right? The point is that my audio is driving the visual, and I can change the visual, but I can't change my voice unless I re-record it, right? So that is why I am not even. I can sit and I can audio edit and not even look at what my face is doing. Don't even care. Don't even care what my face is looking like. If my face looks like a pile of potato poop, then it's fine. Genuinely, it's fine. It doesn't matter because I can just cover that up. And yeah. Let me see. How's Grump doing? Or Grouch? Grumpy Grouch. It's better. This is the farthest it's ever gotten. So I suppose that's a win. Potato poop? Don't ask. Don't ask. It's making weird noises. Can I show you guys something really quick? I want to show you guys something really quick. A little off topic here. I gotta show you guys something. I want to show you guys the 3D printer that I want to get. I gotta show you guys. I gotta show you guys, and like just how crazy this thing is. Give me a second here. Okay. So there are portions of this video that look like they're sped up, and they're not. That's the crazy thing. I gotta show you guys. So this is not quite the one I want. This is the one model down. I want the P1S. This is the P1P. So this is one model down from what I'm looking at. But look at this thing. So watch. It looks like it's moving at fast forward at times. So at first it's like it's starting off fine. It looks like it's like, okay, yeah, this looks like a machine. And then look at the lightning, like how fast this thing goes. If anyone who's done 3D printing knows, this is fast. It's just, this isn't sped up or anything. This is just, and then it does a detail, and then like this thing moves lightning quick. Like, it's just, it is going fast. Like, it looks like it's in fast forward. And it's not. That is just how the machine works. And it can print a benchy relatively quick. Like, very, very quick. Like, this benchy thing, it's able to print this. It's called benchy. It's a boat. It can print it really, I'm just skipping through it now, really quickly. It's I can't wait. I'm hoping one day we'll get it. So, okay. So it's 10:30 now. And typically I would sit down and I'm going to go through and kind of collapse the audio, but I think we're going to switch over to Q, like sort of a question and answers a little bit, to kind of answer any of your questions about, thank you, Elena, for the $2 super chat. I appreciate it. For the printer. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Grumpy goes brrr. This one goes mee. Yeah, yeah. Grumpy's like, I'm pushing out filament because I hate you. It's like, oh great. This other one is like a ninja. It's like tight. It's like, jeez, it's fast. It's fast. So, all right. If you guys got any questions about content creation, if you guys got any questions in general, I'll open up the stream for some Q&R, and I will try my best to answer all of your questions. All of them, I will try. But Grumpy has character. Grumpy gives me ulcers. Grumpy wastes filament and spits it out like spaghetti. Do you have any sort of YouTube/Twitch pose tips and tricks? I don't know what you mean by pose. What do you mean? Do you mean like the character posing on the thumbnail? Do you mean me posing right here? He's quirky. No! You're right. I can't buy it, and I don't want to buy it. Who's Grumpy? That's Grumpy. That's Grumpy back there. That's Grumpy, my 3D printer. I don't want Grumpy anymore. I want something from Bamboo Labs. I want the P1S. I don't want Grumpy. Grumpy look what Grumpy, okay, breaks. Okay? Grumpy is a jerk. Grumpy will just be like, oh, is this a nice filament? Well, guess what?
They were supposed to come out earlier.
That's okay.
That we share.
Oh. They're not all for me? I'm joking. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
She gave me the angry pregnancy stare.
Hey, here's your milk.
Thank you.
They're supposed to come out earlier, but I made them bakery style and apparently didn't cook them enough, and they were medium rare. Yeah.
I like medium rare cookies. If that's what you call them.
Not these.
Oh.
These are nice cookies. The other ones I had were way too gooey.
Ah.
I think there's like this new half-baked cookie thing that is happening, or it's, I don't know.
Very
A
good.
skunk sprayed, by the way.
I just smelled it, yeah.
It's really bad.
Another one, great.
Come with my milk.
Mmm. It's delicious. When did this turn to a from a work stream to a cookies and milk ASMR.
You don't have to make it an ASMR. Just don't put your face near it.
Mm. Have you
ready
seen?
for another Among Us fungus match? What?
Oh, remember last time? One of the times when we went up north, we did a Among Us pre-record stream.
Yes.
I'm just referring to that. If you ever would want to do that again.
Another one?
I mean, would you like to do another one ever?
I don't mind it. It's fun. I get really giggly.
Yeah.
Where's
What?
You had the one that I wanted.
What do you mean the one that you wanted?
The one that didn't have as many chocolate chips.
I just grabbed a cookie, man. Throw dibs. I didn't be like, this is my wife's cookie. I'm gonna eat this one specifically. Yum 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 yum. Is this the one that you wanted to? Did you call dibs on this?
No.
Okay, good. You gonna lick it?
I might.
Beyond Xanos asks a question that I do want to kind of give an answer for.
You're great.
We are.
Great.
Mm-hmm. Is it possible we can get a final patch for Rumble Season 4? Or is TFB fully moved on? Maybe with just anything they have finished or in the pipe, or is that a pipe dream now? So, she who bakes them takes them.
Said. I get first dibs because I baked them.
But I did. Everyone teams up on me.
You asked.
You can't even take that serious. You can't even take that serious. Here's a problem with Rumble right now. In terms of the idea of Toys for Bob going back to it. I had this thought. And Caroline, she's baking cookies and another human. She gets all the dibs.
See, Caroline's on my side.
But you never said dibs to begin with.
They're chocolate chip cookies. I didn't get a chance. I handed you the plate and you started to eat one.
So, I know you love me, Midas. I know. I don't think Toys for Bob, through one means or another, I don't think Toys for Bob logistically can go back to Crash Team Rumble. And I think that because I was ready to start a war wagon. I was ready to get out my war drum. I was about ready to put on the war paint. I was about to build a rallying cry, a banner to rally up behind for all of us that screamed,
There were many rants.
Let's make season 4. Let's do it. Let's have them go out the way they want to. Let them finish season 4. Rah, 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 rah. I was getting ready. I was, imagine, like if you're a Warcraft nerd, the Mak'gora type of situation. I was ready to go. But I thought to myself, what if they don't want to do it? What if this was a project that they wanted to get done, that they wanted to do, that they loved and they had a passion for, and there were just so many obstacles in the way? I'm not saying who or what those obstacles are, but there were so many obstacles in their way. They might as well have just been driving down the highway with their mouth open.
One second.
And Toys for Bob might have just been like, you know what? we're done. We're done. We're finished. Can't do it anymore. We don't want to do it anymore. Not that they don't have a love for the game, but the amount of things that they had to deal with, they probably don't want to. Now, could be passed off to another team. Sure. What team wants it? That's the key here. Who wants it? Does anybody want it? Does anybody want it? If the answer is no, what are they supposed to do?
Oh, wait. My husband's sanity.
Are you talking 3D printer?
Yes.
Okay.
Those are really good cookies.
Yeah. I don't know why that split happened where it happened,
Don't ask questions.
but I can fix that.
You can fix it. You can fill it in.
Wood filler. Hey, see, you think Rumble would get a second chance? I might make a video about this. There is only one way for Rumble to get a second chance. One way. There's only one. And it is the only, logical method where it makes sense, where it could get a second chance.
I know the answer.
Hmm?
Mom.
What?
Sorry, I had to.
You say your mom?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anyway, I did my your mom joke for the night. Keep going.
Thanks. Is that if the reason why they're still having the game operate and still run and still do its seasons and still do its stuff is because they are potentially sending the game to Game Pass. Now, if they send the game to Game Pass and for some reason the game explodes, is huge, absolutely just gigantic, well, then Microsoft might say, there's some interest in money to be made here to support it.
Yeah.
Now, would Toys for Bob come back?
Maybe. I don't know.
Would they maybe get sent off to another team? I don't know. We don't know. We have no idea. But that would be the only chance, in my opinion, for Rumble to get a second chance at life. That would be the only chance.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. We'll have to see. So, all right, we got a few more minutes, and then we got to get going.
Are we not opening?
They're not here right now?
Oh, 12-hour stream then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I would rather open it on the 12-hour stream. We have a package that we're going to open from Milk
Huge,
Dud.
actually.
It's
Move
pretty
your
big.
chair.
Yeah, it's pretty big, but we're not going to open it.
It says mumbo jumbo on the side.
That isn't what's in there.
No,
Milk Dud had gotten the Mumbo Jumbo first four figures from Banjo
I
Kazooie.
see. Okay. Wait, that's
But-
awesome, actually.
What? That there's a Mumbo Jumbo figure?
Yeah, that's
There's a
it's
Banjo
huge.
one too.
Yeah, I wouldn't get it.
Yeah, did you see the size? Like, can you imagine a Mumbo Jumbo the size of... That'd be
I
massive.
love Banjo Kazooie, just not that much.
What time's the pack stream tomorrow? Thank you for asking so I can remind her. So, it is tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and going till 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
You all get to have ASMR of noodle slurping. I'm kidding. I won't feed him noodles.
12 hours of noodle slurp. Could you imagine?
What is it called where people just sit down and eat?
Oh, mukbang?
Mukbang.
I'm sorry. Listen, if that's your thing, that's great. I hear one slurp and the gag reflex hits immediately.
I'm bad. I just want to punch people when they slurp.
You see, in person,
Which Jonathan's really
in
bad.
person, I can handle it. In person, I can handle it. Over a microphone, it's like, nope.
You know what the worst part is? In person, you could handle it until we had Jonathan.
Jonathan is the loudest slurper I have ever heard in my
We had
life.
spaghetti once, and we're all eating at the table, and I'm looking at him, I'm like...
I thought he was drowning.
No, I looked at him, I looked at your face, and I was like, are you okay? Are you upset at me for something? Like, did I offend you? Did I say a comment?
Because I had an angry
and
face
he was
on.
like this. And I was like, what's wrong with you? And you're like, he's so loud. He's in my ear.
Yeah, there's Jonathan. He's literally breathing. He's not sucking the noodles. He's breathing them in. He's not slurping. So, no, he's not slurping. He's not going. He's literally like trying to breathe.
He's slurping.
Yeah, but he's trying to use the inhaling of his breathing to inhale the food. So it's just like, and I'm looking at him, I'm like,
Can you not have a struggle to live to eat spaghetti?
like,
yeah,
like,
misphonia, whatever you call it. I have that really bad.
Like,
it got really bad when you breathe. Oh, you were eating kettle chips one time. It was last night? Maybe it was last night. The night before, I went to lay down. Or I was sleeping, and you came to bed after working really hard. And you're like, I'm just going to enjoy my bowl of kettle chips. And I kept asking you, are you done yet? And he's like, I'm just going to go have a snack. And I'm like, I love you.
Thank you. I feel the love. I feel the love, especially the part of sleeping on the couch. That part makes me feel really loved.
No, it's not that. I just don't want to be mean. And be like, could you stop eating? Like, I don't want to be that person. But it was like, this is my trigger, not his problem.
No, the stream messed up again, it seems.
Oh. Is it bad?
We don't know what's happening. My internet will just kick out and kick back in. So I'm like, yay.
You back?
Are we back? Bueller.
Well, if you can check, right?
Bueller. Well, we're just waiting to see what happens. But
Why don't you just check it and see if it has?
let's see. Boo doo 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 doo
So why is
boo
it
doo
big there?
doo doo doo. Because I had it zoomed. I think
Looks like it's back.
looks like it's back.
Oh, that's on Twitch.
New Rumble guys in making? Not really. No, it's kind of hard to make guides for Rumble when the game is being discontinued. I mean, it's kind of hard, you know. So in terms of Rumble guides at the moment,
Sad face.
no. So
I was really hoping you opened the package today. I was excited. I'm sorry, everybody, when you sneezed right into the
it was either this way or this way. Either or.
You could sneeze on me. I'm fine with that.
No, I'm not going to sneeze on you.
I got sneezed in the face by one of the kids today.
That doesn't mean you deserve to get sneezed on. In fact, look at me for a second.
Do you have chocolate on their face?
Somehow, I don't know how. How did you get chocolate on
Is it still there?
and on your cheeks?
I am making like a lot of chocolate stuff, so I may have just wiped it on my face.
I'm like, how? How do you have that?
I shredded a bunch of zucchini. I'm like,
Do a guide on how to be less depressed about Rumble.
I think when you do a guide, you actually have to.
Step 1, sob. Step 2, go to step 2. Step 3, go back to step 1 and sob again. Dependent on how many hours you played, stay here for as long as you need.
Isn't it tight?
Step 3, I'll let you know when I'm there. That's the end of my video.
Ooh.
Try not to cry. Cry a lot. I was like, I was holding it together for the most part. Like, sticks and stones. No. Hold on. Let me finish. I was holding it together for the most part. I was holding it together. Everything was fine. I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And then they dropped, and then we saw the concept art for Nina in Pinstripe.
And then you cried.
I was like, I'm not okay. I'm not okay.
I thought we had moved on.
Toys for Sob.
Yep. That's about right. No, I thought we had moved on. I was like, okay. It was a really hard week for him, but it's okay. We're getting through it. We're being more optimistic. We're looking for the future. They become an indie, so that means more potential. It'll be okay. And then he comes to me and goes, they just dropped new stuff that they were going to release. And I'm like, oh no. Oh no. You just got okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what show we're watching. It's like when they found that the one girl's sock or something like that. And he went back to like his girlfriend.
Oh.
Yeah. It's been hard. What's the key to make a perfect spaghetti and meatballs? Insult all the Italians. No, literally, you can use canned tomato sauce. You can use ragu sauce. Get good Italian spices.
Bell peppers and sausage.
Bell peppers. You can add sausage. But the key thing is brown everything before you. Don't just dump in the sauce and dump in like raw stuff. Brown it all. In a nice olive oil or butter or whatever. Not coconut oil because it's going to taste weird. But brown it all.
No, I'm just stress eating because of Rumble.
That's why I made cookies.
Thank you.
Oh, my oven. Wait, no, I turned it off. We're good. Yes. Have you tried the cookie recipe?
Not yet.
Not. We have to organize his whole room.
Yeah.
And post pictures of everything that everyone has sent us. And
it's been a struggle, but we're gonna try it.
And the kids are coughing right now, and I'm really upset. Like, yeah, no, it's been on and off. And then Hope went to bed like really early, and I'm like, oh no, no, it begins. And we got an email like
it's March break.
And we got an email a couple days ago that they had lice. And
no, not that they no.
No, that they got exposed to lice.
Yeah, there we go. That's two.
So now we have to all look for like
Depression cookie crumble. Maybe I should make a parody video about that.
Maybe it'll make you feel better.
Maybe.
It'll make a lot of other people feel better. We can all cry in unison.
We can all unanimously cry how to deal with Crash Team Rumble being canceled.
Make it a fan video to have everyone like draw some sobbing fan art.
Step 1, cry like a child. Step 2, go back to step 1. You're not done yet.
See, everyone has different steps. Shooter eats sand and then cries.
Pretty sure he eats sand and then cries because he's eating sand.
Any April Fool's plans don't have the baby?
What?
Baby's due at the end of April. April Fool's is the 1st of April.
Okay.
That's our plans for April Fool's.
Is what?
Don't have the baby.
Gotcha. I thought you meant something completely different. Okay, now that idea makes sense.
Okay.
So you said April Fools, we're not having the kid anymore. I thought that's what you were saying. I was like,
no, keep the baby in, because everyone makes that joke.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's
a dumb joke. Don't make the joke. No. Don't be like, I have my baby, and it's like, nah.
Oh man, I still remember when I announced that Crunch was going to be in Crash Team Racing and it was on April Fool's Day and people were like, "Hey, this is an April Fool's joke, you stupid." And I'm like, "Okay, sure." And then the next day, why is there Crunch footage? Maybe because it wasn't an April Fool's joke, you fool.
Hey, Hope's birthday is December 25th. not terrible days. They're just complicated.
It's complicated. It is. It's not terrible. It's just complicated.
The February 29th one is a little...
You know,
Sad.
nobody's actually came to one of her birthdays beyond us, but that's besides the point.
I say that and forgot that Hope's birthday is the 25th.
That's okay, Clipper. It's okay.
It's okay. We'll just, Bad.
No.
April Fools.
April Fool's
Oh, we have-
Day.
There's some construction around, and they keep changing the sign of when it's going to be done.
It's like white out,
So
white
it
out.
was supposed to be done in February 1st.
Okay, so no, hold on. You have to explain a little bit. So when you're driving towards the bridge, there's a sign that popped up, and it said construction, use detour, date ending, and it was
February 1st.
February 1st, 2024. And she was just like, oh,
Okay,
yeah.
it's out for a month.
Yeah,
and
it's
you
up for a
made
month.
joke.
And I made a joke. I'm like, it's not going to be done. She's like, what do you mean it's not going to be done? I'm like, it's not going to be done. So a week before it's supposed to be done, they put a white
It's
thing
like a
over
little
top,
Square.
a square over top the finish on February 1st, and it said March 1st, 2024. I'm like, yeah, see, there it is. And then I was like, okay. And then 3 days before the day opens, she's like, okay, it seems to be fine. And then the next day, another one. They put another one on top of the first one, and now it says
Which is
April
now-
1st, 2024.
And I'm like, so is that an April Fool's joke? It's definitely not being done now.
Yeah, I'm like, well, it's not gonna be done on April Fool's. There's no way. That would be a joke in of itself. So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time I have for tonight. So we will be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m.
Woo woo!
doing our 12-hour stream. 12 hours, big stream, big event. We're raising funds for PAX East.
Woo-hoo, Boston!
To go to Boston. To Boston. And I cannot wait. So, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next video and our live stream. Time for the countdown. 10, 9, 8. So, oh, that's right. Jonathan was born on George Jetson's birthday.
You don't remember that?
I know, I
was like,
remember it now.
Why didn't you name him George? You should have named him George. That's a failure. You need to name your child George. And I'm like, nah.
We're not naming our kid based off of
We
an animated
picked this
sitcom.
name.
Anyway, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Sunflower solo 12-hour stream when? I think she would die after 2 hours.
Is that just me napping?
For 12.
Yeah, wait a minute. That exists. Never
that
mind.
does exist, yes. Not 3.
The internet's scary. No, I'm good.
This is the longest countdown of goodbye ever. 3, 2, 1.